Comprehensive Martial Arts. Supernatural Talent Introduction. This book covers the worlds of Heavenly Dragon, Twin Dragon, Lotus, Youth, Snow, and more. Characters: Wang Yuyan, Azhu Abi, Tong Piaoyun, Qiushui, Qinglu, Shifei Xian, Wan, Zhu Yuyan, Qingxuan, Xiuning, Qiao Wanqi, Jiao Liqiao, Hanyi, Sikong Qianluo, Ruoyi, Jiang and I. Chapter 1. Supernatural Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother Jiao. Brother Jiao. After being patted on the back several times and hearing someone constantly calling him, Zhao Yi finally woke up. Seeing the unfamiliar surroundings, Zhao Yi was bewildered. There were not less than 100 figures standing around, each with tattered clothes and unkempt edges. In the circle formed by these people, there were several figures fighting, their clothes inspiring, their palms fluttering, and their weapons clashing. Several figures in the distance watched Zhao Yi's pupils tremble with disbelief. A young and handsome young gentleman. 3 beautiful young girls like flowers. Among them, the girl in white on the left is the most stunning. Her long skirt is spotless, her black hair is like a waterfall, and her facial features are exquisite, like a celestial being. The girl in red and green, although slightly inferior in appearance, surpasses countless beauties in the world. Most importantly, these people were all dressed up by ancient people. Just as Zhao Yi looked at the girl in white and couldn't move her eyes, a loud inquiry suddenly rang in his ear. Brother Zhao, these people just fought and accidentally injured you. Are you okay? Zhao Yi turned his head and saw a big man in green clothes who was nearly 9 feet tall, looking down at him with a smile. This person has a rough face, broad shoulders and narrow waist, a pair of wild eyes, and a natural aura of fearlessness. Zhao Yi was slightly taken aback, unsure of what had happened. He didn't know who these people around him were, nor did he know why he appeared here. Just as he was pondering these questions in his mind, a jumble of memories suddenly flooded into his mind. Qiao Feng. Beggar's Sect. Wang Yuyan. Duan Yu. Is this Tianlong world? No, this heavenly dragon world seems a bit different. Zhao Yiduan suddenly realized that he had traveled through time. His current identity is a disciple of the Beggar's Sect with 6 bags, and his martial arts are ordinary. But Qiao Feng has always been bold and often eats meat and drinks with disciples in the gang. He has dealt with him at banquets, so he expresses his concern at this time. After sorting out his memory in his mind, Zhao Jun shook his head to make himself clearer and replied to Qiao Feng. Thank you very much for your concern, guild leader. I am not in any way affected. When Qiao Feng nodded and shifted his gaze to the group of people fighting in the field, Zhao Yi's gaze sank slightly and he sighed inwardly. Although I have traveled, my footwork is too poor. Not to mention wandering the rivers and lakes like this, it's probably difficult to even live a few more days. Taking another glance at the beautiful white-clad girl in the distance, Zhao Yi's eyes became even more desolate. This is the place that many people dream of longing to come to, but now he has come, it seems like he can't do anything. Putting aside these thoughts, Zhao Yi turned his gaze to the few people still fighting inside the arena. The 2 elders of the Beggar's Sect, as well as the 2 subordinates of Gusu Murongfu, are notorious for their violent behavior. At this moment, a semi-transparent character panel suddenly appeared in front of him. Host. Zhao Yi, talent. Superb. Zhao Yi's heart was hot, and he waited for a while, but no new movement occurred. That's it, it's gone. Closing the panel, Zhao Yi once again turned his gaze to the field. Unlike before, looking at the 4 fighting again, Zhao Yi suddenly felt a sense of blessings in his heart. In his eyes, every move used by the 4 people on the field appeared particularly clear and clear. And with just a slight movement of his mind, he can comprehend the intricacies of the martial arts used by these people. Is this the ability of super talent? Zhao Yi was overjoyed in his heart. At this very moment, the white-clad girl in the distance, also known as Wang Yuyan, was trying to help Bao Baong in the Evil 2 win the battle. I have already started explaining the martial arts moves used by the two elders of the beggars sect from the side. Zhao Yi immediately became fully engrossed in watching and listening. Tong arm fist. The 13 movements of the Dabi Mountains return whip. The Ruoyi family's 81st Route 3 section stick. Qiao Feng made a move. The situation on the field had unknowingly developed to the point where Qiao Feng personally took action, and Zhao Yi was full of energy. The three moves of Dragon Claw Hand grabbing the pearl bring abundant rain. Dragon Catching Skill. Qiao Feng's purpose was to persuade others, so he directly restrained Bao Baong and the troublemaker. Although he used very few martial arts moves, he had already greatly excited Zhao Yi. Zhao Yi now really wants to verify whether he has truly learned so much martial arts in such a short period of time. Brother Zhou, I'll go take a nap on the side and come back soon. Okay, go and get back quickly. After saying a word to the disciple in the gang who had awakened him before, Zhao Yi quietly left the crowd and arrived at a place with dense weeds. After confirming that there was no one around, Zhao Yi used the dragon catching technique he had just learned. He shook his right arm and curled his right finger into a claw. Whoosh! A terrifying suction suddenly arose in the palm of the hand, and the grass leaves on the ground straightened out, causing a stone to fall into the palm. Zhao Yi couldn't help but be overjoyed, chuckled for a moment, and his expression quickly calmed down. He now believes that his exceptional talent is real. Unfortunately, if the timeline were earlier, I would have had the opportunity to replace Duan Yu and learn the two ultimate skills of Lingbo Micro Step and Biming Divine Skill. Of course, I am not completely without a chance now. Duan Yu has a gentle and honest personality. As long as you interact with him freely, you don't have to worry about using these two great techniques from his mouth. There is also a Yang Finger, the 6th Meridian Divine Sword. Having made a decision in his heart, Zhao Yi calmly returned to the beggars' sect camp. At this point, new changes have occurred in the field. Under the deliberate or unintentional push of Bai Shijing, Quan Guanqing, and the four elders of the beggars' sect, Song Shi, Chen, and Wu, Qiao Feng's other identity began to be exposed. The bloodline of the Liao people. Qiao Feng is not aware of it yet. In order to punish Elder Song Shichen and Wuxi, he stabbed himself 4 times, bleeding profusely. Zhao Jun saw this scene with his own eyes and his emotions were not without complexity. Qiao Feng's boldness and clear distinction between love and hate make him a person who has been working hard all his life feel admirable. Then, Tan Gong and Tan Pe, Zhao Qianxuan, Mount Taishan Shan Men, Poison Lady Kong Min, and Tiantai Mountain Zhiguang appeared one after another. The bloodline of the Liao people in Xiaofeng has not only been strengthened to some extent, but also carried the reputation of killing the deputy leader of the beggars' sect, Ma Dayuan. As Zhao Yi, who has a divine perspective, although he feels aggrieved in his heart, he does not intend to intervene immediately. He doesn't even have the ability to protect himself now, and he just shows off as a hero, which is no different from seeking death. Even if you want to help Qiao Feng, you can only find another opportunity. What happened next was similar to what Zhao Yi had expected. Qiao Feng was falsely accused and learned that he had another background. He resigned from his position as the leader of the beggars' sect and went alone to seek the truth. Zhao Yi stood in the crowd, silently watching the situation unfold. During this period, he once again learned the body techniques used by Zhao Qianxuan when chasing Master Zhiguang. As time passed, the situation in the arena unknowingly escalated to the point where everyone in the beggars' sect began to compete for the position of sect leader. Zhao Yi originally planned to secretly learn some more martial arts, but as soon as he thought that the people from the Western Xia First-Class Hall were about to arrive, he immediately felt a sense of retreat and prepared to leave this dangerous place first. Unexpectedly, the disciple of the Zhou clan who had befriended him saw him and quickly reached out to grab him. Brother Jiao, where are you going? My stomach hurts. Don't worry, the position of gang leader is vacant now. We need to support Elder Wu as the gang leader and endure for now. Zhao Yi was too lazy to talk nonsense to him. He shook his hand but didn't shake it off. He was about to increase his strength, but it was already too late. Scream. Scream. Sigh. The rumbling sound of horse hooves and footsteps came from all around, and a large group of Western Xia officers and soldiers came to the front of the beggars' sect in the blink of an eye. It is the people of the first-class hall. Immediately after, a few strange laughter rang out, and 3 figures flew over through the branches and leaves. Yi Enyang is known for committing all kinds of evil. Yu Laosan is known for his ferocious and evil spirit. The crane in the clouds is extremely vicious and vicious. 3 of the 4 villains have come down. Zhao Yi's eyes twitched, and now he can't even leave if he wants to. Without heart to blame the disciple in the gang who was dragging him down, Zhao Yi calmly pondered on a way out. Of course, we will never miss the opportunity to learn martial arts secretly. I saw the members of the first-class hall and the beggars' sect meeting each other. Both sides whined and fired for a while, and Yun Zhanghe, one of the 4 major villains, emerged from the crowd and engaged in a series of fights with the elders of the beggars' sect, Shi Wu. Zhao Yi immediately activated the crazy stealing learning mode, feeling like his brain was like an endless sea. No matter what kind of martial arts, they could all be accommodated effortlessly. 24 roots of demon-slaying battles, the Qin King whipping stones, and the Great Peng spreading its wings. Chiman Sankai Dao, crane and snake 8 strikes. Bah! It's shameless to ask someone to help bully me with the crowd, and I also want that little girl. Wait for me. Under the guidance of Wang Yuyan's walking martial arts manual. First, Yun Zhanghe injured Elder Shi of the beggars' sect, and then Elder Wu defeated Yun Zhanghe. Yun Zhanghe suffered losses and was defeated, leaving a harsh sentence before leaving. Ha ha ha. Get out of here. Jumping clown. What kind of reasoning is needed to deal with villains like you? Besides, that girl, she also helped you before. The first battle was won, and the people of the beggars' sect were extremely happy. They didn't even know that there were already hidden dangers around the forest. Zhao Yi knew that the opportunity was not to be missed. Taking advantage of everyone's distraction, he quickly walked up to the 4 of Duan Yu and Wang Yuyan. Thank you very much for your help just now, Mississippi. Who is this guy? Wang Yuyan, Zhu, and Abi did not answer because they did not know Zhao Yi. Only Duan Yu looked at Zhao Yi with a curious expression on his face. Zhao Yi said, I'm Zhao Yi. Go find the beggars' sect's 6 bag disciples at the book garden www.zhaoxuan.com. Duan Yu's eyes were full of smiles, and he didn't underestimate Zhao Yi's low status. He clenched his fists and said, I'm disrespectful. Zhao Yi smiled and pretended to be acquainted with the other person. While looking over the 4 of them, he saw a subtle movement in the distant grass. It seems that the people of the first-class hall really want to use poison in secret. In order to establish a favorable impression, Zhao Yi reminded the 4 humanitarians. Since Brother Duan is not a member of the beggars' sect, the people from the Western Xia first-class hall are not kind at present. It's better to leave as soon as possible. Especially the 3 girls, if you stay any longer, there may be danger. Please get out as soon as possible and don't be dragged down by our beggars' sect. To put it simply, Zhao Yi wanted to take a boat ride with Duan Yu and the 4 of them to break through and leave early. Upon hearing Zhao Yi's words, both Duan Yu and Wang Yuyan, as well as the 3 daughters of Zhu, were greatly impressed. Duan Yu, with a simple mind, nodded and pondered, well, we should leave now, but Brother Zhao and the disciples of the beggars' sect. Before Duan Yu could finish speaking, Su Chongshao, the elder of the beggars' sect in the venue, noticed something was wrong and suddenly jumped up, kicking several first-class hall officers. But when Su Chongxiao wanted to take another shot after kicking, he felt his whole body weak and unable to exert any force, and fell to the ground with a loud bang. Elder Su. Ah! My eyes! What's going on? At the same time, a group of disciples and elders of the beggars' sect exclaimed in surprise, feeling unbearable pain in their eyes and falling to the ground one after another. Wang Yuyan, Azhu, and Abi, the three women beside Duanyu, also furrowed their brows and were trembling. Zhao Yi seized the opportunity, took the lead, and helped Wang Yuyan, who was limp. Ah, you! Duanyu slowed down a step and watched as Zhao Yi grabbed Wang Yuyan first. Chapter 2. One Night Time with Miss Wang. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Seeing that the person he wanted to save was taken first by someone else, Duanyu felt angry and had no choice but to go and help Azhu and Abai's two daughters. Duanyu was not poisoned, of course, because he once swallowed the poison of mangu zhu clam without invading. As for Zhao Yi, he was already on guard and only received a small amount of poison. Embracing Wang Yuyan's soft and fragrant body, then closing her eyes and covering her mouth and nose with her sleeves, Zhao Yi hurriedly said. Someone is using poison. Brother Duan, we must never let the three girls fall into the hands of the Western Xia people. Even if we sacrifice our lives, we must rescue them. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Yi hugged Wang Yuyan and held his breath, rushing towards the direction he had already chosen. As soon as he started running, Zhao Yi instinctively used the unique lightness skill of Yunzhong that he had just learned, feeling as light as a swallow and as agile as flying on the ground. Where to run? Two recent Western Xia soldiers rushed forward on horseback, sinking their waist and abdomen, wielding curved knives and slashing diagonally. Zhao Yi listened to the voice and argued, but as the wind broke, he suddenly turned around and leaned forward with his right hand. Dragon Catcher. Zhao Yi accurately grabbed the neck of a Western Xia soldier and threw him off his horse. Then he hugged the limping Wang Yuyan and flipped over to get on the horse, galloping wildly. Drive. On the other hand, Duanyu was also chased by several Western Xia soldiers. Don't chase me, don't chase me. No, 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 don't chase Miss Wang. Come and chase me. Duanyu took a gentle step and held on to the two daughters of Azhu and Abai with both hands, as ghosts darted back and forth in the forest. Bang! Unconsciously, the sky is dark, dark clouds are dense, and lightning flashes. Quickly, a drizzling rain began to fall. Zhao Yi held Wang Yuyan and rode his horse wildly in the mountains and forests. Several Western Xia soldiers caught up on the way and were all solved by him with his newly learned dragon-catching hand and Chimen Sankai saber technique. Because both of their clothes were drenched in heavy rain and the road was bumpy, it was inevitable that their skin would touch each other. This intimate contact made Wang Yuyan blush like fire, feeling embarrassed and embarrassed. But at the moment, she has no choice because she has no upper or lower strength all over her body. Only Zhao Yi could hold her tightly in his arms to prevent her from falling off the horse. After an unknown amount of time, the two rode horses to a village. There is a dilapidated farmhouse in the distance. Zhao Yi hugged Wang Yuyan and dismounted, slapping the horse's back hard to drive it away. Girl, there's a room ahead. Let's go there and take shelter from the rain first. Wang Yuyan responded. Being held in Zhao Yi's arms, Wang Yuyan was moved to see Zhao Yi's expression lethargic and a knife wound on his left shoulder. Brother Zhao, have you also been poisoned? Wang Yuyan asked. Zhao Yi walked towards the farmhouse holding Wang Yuyan while nodding. Yes, at that time, I saw several figures of Western Xia people ambushing in the distance, and I didn't think it was right, so I was on guard. But I was still poisoned, it's just that the poisoning wasn't deep, otherwise I wouldn't be able to escape with you. Thank you very much, Brother Zhao, for saving his life. Due to being rained on for too long, Wang Yuyan felt a bit cold and curled up slightly in Zhao Yi's arms. In a moment, Zhao Yi carried Wang Yuyan to the dilapidated farmhouse. There are only a few tattered tables and chairs here, and a pile of hay is piled up in the corner of the wall. Zhao Yi took a look and first helped Wang Yuyan sit on the wall, then quickly spread out half of the haystack. Afterwards, he helped Wang Yuyan lie down on the haystack. The two of them looked at each other with wet eyes, and Zhao Yi didn't feel anything. However, Wang Yuyan felt embarrassed and buried her head, afraid to look at Zhao Yi. "I'll go to the village to find 2 pieces of clothes and some food to eat." After Zhao Yi finished speaking, he was about to leave the house. Wang Yuyan, as the miss of Mantua Villa, encountered such danger on her first outing and felt very insecure. She instinctively shouted, "Brother Zhao." Zhao Yi turned around and smiled, "Don't worry, I won't leave you behind, nor will I let you suffer any harm. I'll be back soon." As the words fell, Zhao Yi walked out the door, his footsteps gradually fading away. Wang Yuyan lay on the haystack, lost in thought, constantly echoing the words Zhao Yi had just said in her mind. This is the second man besides Duanyu who treats her so well. As for her cousin Morongfu, he only thought about the great cause of restoring the country, and how could he linger on these children and daughters. Brother Zhao is really a good person. After silently saying something in her heart, Wang Yuyan suppressed the slight ripples in her heart and patiently waited. Miss Bai. In less than a pillar of incense time, Zhao Yi returned to the farmhouse where Wang Yuyan lived. Closing the door, Zhao Yi quickly walked over to see Wang Yuyan, who was trembling with cold. Upon seeing Zhao Yi finally return, Wang Yuyan relaxed her tense strings and whispered, "Brother Zhao, my surname is Wang." From the beginning, no one in the beggar's sect knew Wang Yuyan's name. Because Wang Yuyan was dressed in white, Zhao Yi always called her Miss Bai. Of course, only heaven knows whether Zhao Yi knows the true identity of Wang Yuyan or not. There is no one in the village, I only found this suitable garment. Please change it quickly and don't catch a cold. Zhao Yi handed over a coarse cloth garment borrowed from a farmer's house. Wang Yuyan bit her lips slightly, seeming somewhat embarrassed. Brother Zhao, I have no strength all over. Zhao Yi patted his head and said, I forgot about this. What should I do? There's no cure, and you can't just change your clothes. Your clothes are already soaked through, and if you continue like this, you will definitely catch a cold. Wang Yuyan raised her eyes and looked at Zhao Yi with a worried expression, silently lowering her head. After a moment, her voice was like a mosquito chanting. Could you please dress me up, Brother Zhao? However, please close your eyes, Brother Zhao. Also, please keep today's matter confidential for me, Brother Zhao. Zhao Yi was shocked and said, how could this be? It would insult the reputation of your daughter's family. Okay. It's not too late. Wang Yuyan has been wet all over for a long time, and if she doesn't change her clothes, her body will definitely have problems. Zhao Yidong immediately pulled a piece of cloth from the hem and covered his eyes. Urgent matters require power, and there are many offenses. Please forgive me, Mississippi. With Wang Yuyan's soft promise, Zhao Yi carefully changed Wang Yuyan's clothes. Brother Zhao. I'm sorry. Although Zhao Yi was very careful, it was inevitable that he made mistakes during the process. He touched the other person's creamy skin several times, and the young lady of Mantua Mountain Villa was shocked as if she had been electrocuted, repeatedly losing her voice to remind her. I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, Wang Yuyan was almost crying. However, upon hearing Zhao Yi's sincere apology, Wang Yuyan could only let go of her suspicion. After helping Wang Yuyan change into clothes, Zhao Yi lit a fire in the room. Due to the lack of an antidote for the sorrowful and refreshing breeze, Wang Yuyan still lacks the ability to take action. Zhao Yi could only hold her and sit down next to him, letting her lean against him and bake by the fire. As for eating, he can only personally feed Wang Yuyan. This kind of intimate interaction made Wang Yuyan, a young lady who had not left Mandala Villa for over a decade, gradually feel a very strange feeling in her heart. To be fair, whether Zhao Yi's nature is like this or his disguise. From Wang Yuyan's perspective, Zhao Yi is an upright person. Although he met her by chance, he was willing to sacrifice his life to save her. This moved her deeply. But when I thought of my cousin Morong Fu, if I knew she had such close contact with a stranger, I would distance myself from her. She couldn't help feeling uneasy and worried, with a faint tear streaming down her face. Zhao Yi saw the tears in Wang Yuyan's eyes and frowned. "Miss Wang, what's wrong with you?" Wang Yuyan shook her head, not intending to express her worries. Zhao Yi sighed and said, "I don't know what poison you've been poisoned. If I want to detoxify you, I can only go find those Western Xia soldiers." Wang Yuyan was surprised and said, "Brother Zhao, please don't take any more risks for me. Your martial arts, although you used the dragon capturing technique to kill the 2 Western Xia soldiers who were chasing after you, I can see that your martial arts are not very high." Zhao Yi's face turned black. Wang Yuyan continued, "But your body method is good. It seems that you have both the body method used by Yunzhong and the unique body method of Zhao Qianxuan. Unfortunately, your internal skills are not good, and using these body methods won't last long." Zhao Yi's face darkened as he listened, feeling that he had no secrets in front of Wang Yuyan's walking martial arts manual. Xuan. Calm, of course, it's just about martial arts. Seeing Wang Yuyan's clear and watery eyes fixed on him without moving, Zhao Yi knew that Wang Yuyan was curious about why he possessed the dragon capturing technique and the 3 talented swords of the Qimen. Zhao Yi smiled and said, "On weekdays, I share the same interests as leader Qiao and love to drink alcohol." Once, when he responded to my request and carefully performed the dragon catching technique, I learned a little bit. I asked Elder Wu to teach me the Qimen Sankai Dao. Wang Yuyan shook her head and said, "I don't think Brother Zhao has learned any superficial skills. Brother Zhao excels in using the dragon catching skill and Qimen Sankai Dao, but lacks deep internal strength. Otherwise, Brother Zhao has a chance to become a first-class expert in the Song dynasty. It seems that I can't hide my martial arts skills from this girl at all." Zhao Yi picked up a few dead branches and threw them into the fire, feeling a bit unconfident as he said, "Really? I always thought my talent was very poor. However, I am still very interested in various martial arts, so I will learn whatever I encounter. However, so far, I have not practiced a more advanced internal skill mental method, so my internal strength is just like what you said, ordinary." But Zhao Yi frowned and spoke firmly, "But even if my martial arts are not very good, I must give it a try and go find those Western Xia soldiers to detoxify you." Wang Yuyan was taken aback and felt a warm surge in her heart. She glanced at Zhao Yi's resolute and calm face under the flames, then lowered her head. Thinking of Zhao Yi risking his life to save himself. Remembering Zhao Yimeng's focus on changing clothes and patiently feeding himself food bit by bit. Wang Yuyan bit her lip and made a decision in her heart. "Brother Zhao, I know a top-notch internal mental technique, but I have only read the upper half of it." Chapter 3. Closing Relationships, Little Wuxiang Gong, Dragon Claw Hand. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This internal mental skill is called Little Wuxiang Divine Skill. Zio Wuxiang Divine Skill. Zhao Yi's heart trembled. Isn't this the internal skill secret book that Wang Yuyan's mother, Qingluo, left in the Langhuan Jade Cave of Montua Mountain Villa? Later, he was infiltrated by the Tibetan national teacher Jiao Maji into the Langhuan Jade Cave for learning. Seeing Zhao Yi's silence, Wang Yuyan hesitated and said, "Brother Zhao, this half of the martial arts can also be practiced, it's just." Wang Yuyan is worried that her mother Qingluo will not be willing to tell Zhao Yi the content of the second half of Zhao Wuxiang Divine Arts in the future. At that time, if Zhao Yi wanted to further increase his internal strength, he could only cultivate other advanced internal skills. Seeing Wang Yuyan's concern, Zhao Yi smiled calmly. My internal skills are already commonplace, but I have learned a lot of enemy moves. If I could cultivate a superior internal skill, even if I could only learn half of it, it would be enough for me to use it for a lifetime. Brother Jiao, do you really think so? Upon learning that Zhao Yi had no lofty ambitions, Wang Yuyan's worries dissipated significantly. Zhao Yi nodded. It's not necessary to learn it, but you can tell me about this internal skill mental method. I really want to know what kind of martial arts secrets are contained in the advanced internal skill mental method. Seeing Zhao Yi's serious and curious expression, as if she had never seen too much deep internal mental skill before, Wang Yuyan couldn't help but laugh. She immediately recited the top half of her knowledge of the Little Wuxiang divine skill, internal mental technique mnemonic. After listening word by word, Zhao Yi originally intended to memorize it with heart, but found out that he didn't need it at all. Just like how easy it was to learn martial arts such as dragon catching skill and Chimen San Kai Dao in the apricot forest before, Zhao Yi remembered the mnemonic effortlessly. Immediately, he meditated and practiced Little Wuxiang Gong. At first, Wang Yuyan did not notice any clues. When I saw Zhao Yi wearing a robe to inspire me, my skin was like a burning iron, and the light inside was constantly flowing. I couldn't help but feel incredulous with her round eyes. How could this be possible? It is impossible for half of the small Wuxiang Gong to cultivate such strong true qi, let alone at such a fast pace. I don't know how long it took, but Zhao Yi took credit and stood up. He opened his eyes and his spirit shone brightly. He strode forward and lay obliquely on the haystack, like a stunned Wang Yuyan. Wang Yuyan was already shocked and speechless. Zhao Yi's terrifying talent for martial arts training was simply unheard of. Miss Wang. Zhao. Brother Zhao. Wang Yuyan regained her senses and looked at Zhao Yi as she approached. Zhao Yidao said, Miss Wang, thank you very much. If it weren't for the Little Wuxiang divine skill you taught me, my cultivation wouldn't have grown so fast. Wang Yuyan stared at Zhao Yi in disbelief. She clearly remembers that half of the Little Wuxiang Gong could not have such strong true qi. Also, Zhao Yi is just a beginner. Originally, Brother Zhao had such a high talent. Since that's the case, why is he just an ordinary six-bag disciple of the beggar's sect? Wang Yuyan stared at Zhao Yidao with brilliant eyes. Zhao Yi knew that she suspected she had lied, and he couldn't explain it either. He could only say, these are all divine skills you taught me. I don't have any talent. No. Wang Yuyan shook her head upon hearing the words, if Brother Zhao's talent is not particularly high, there wouldn't be many people with good talent that day. If my cousin also has a cultivation talent like yours, it would be great. Then he will soon become the #1 in the world and realize his ideal of restoring his country. Thinking of her cousin Murongfu, Wang Yuyan's expression dimmed. Zhao Yi knew the weight of Murongfu in Wang Yuyan's mind. So he is not in a hurry to speak ill of Murongfu, and nothing should be done too hastily. Seeing that it was getting late, Zhao Yi said, Miss Wang, you can only rest on the haystack tonight. Tomorrow morning, I will take you to find the antidote. Wang Yuyan lightly nodded and saw Zhao Yi preparing to continue practicing martial arts. She hesitated for a moment and asked, Brother Zhao, do you really plan to go back and find the antidote? Zhao Yi nodded and said, if I don't find the antidote, I don't know how to detoxify you. I can't keep you like this. Seeing that Wang Yuyan seemed to be about to stop, Zhao Yi said again, but don't worry, I will act carefully. The antidote doesn't necessarily have to be taken openly. I can steal it or snatch it from the hands of the lonely Western Xia soldiers. Wang Yuyan shook her head and said, no, I just wanted to say that since Brother Zhao has such amazing martial arts talent, I might as well tell Brother Zhao another advanced martial arts skill, so that I can have more confidence. Zhao Yi's expression moved and his heart was filled with passion. In front of him, there is a walking martial arts manual. Okay, you say, let me see if I can practice. Zhao Yi stared at Wang Yuyan's exquisite face, which was perfectly flawless with a flowing jade light. Wang Yuyan has firmly believed that Zhao Yi has a good talent for cultivation, and with the help of Wuxiang Gong's internal power, it should not be difficult to enter the beginner level of cultivating an external martial arts. She said slowly. This martial arts is an extremely powerful foreign martial arts skill called Dragon Claw Hand. When practiced to perfection, the fingers are as hard as steel, and can be used to open bricks like mud and grind stones into powder. Who? In the room, Wang Yuyan had already leaned against the haystack to sleep. In the glow of the fire, Zhao Yitsu's fingers formed claws, and his legs were like deeply rooted tree roots. With each movement, they drove strong internal force fluctuations and shook the air. One night, I spent practicing the 70.2 unique skills of Shaolin, Dragon Claw Hand. I didn't feel tired at all. In the early morning, Wang Yuyan woke up and saw Zhao Yi still meditating and practicing martial arts by the fire. Sensing the movement of the haystack, Zhao Yi opened his eyes and smiled, "Are you awake?" Wang Yuyan responded in a low voice. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Seeing Zhao Yi's gaze fixed on her for a moment, Wang Yuyan's jade face blushed and she said, "Brother Zhao, what are you looking at?" "It's nothing." Zhao Yi stood up and said, "Good girl, let me show you my dragon claw hand that I practiced hard all night." After speaking, Zhao Yi walked up to a pillar, raised his right hand, twisted his fingers into claws, and grabbed it fiercely. Click. Zhao Yi's 5 fingers were deeply embedded in the wooden pillar like steel claws, and with just a little force, he could tear open a gap in the pillar. However, he did not do so. After the demonstration, he immediately straightened his 5 fingers and pulled it back to prevent the house from collapsing. Wang Yuyan looked dumbfounded and once again shocked, unable to speak. "Brother Zhao, are you really just a beggar's sect disciple with 6 bags? Are all the people in the beggar's sect blind? You have such a talent for martial arts, and they don't even know." Wang Yuyan murmured. Zhao Yi blinked and smiled, "Is it possible that it's not their fault, it's my own laziness and lack of ambition?" Puzzy. Listening to Zhao Yi's jokes, Wang Yuyan couldn't help but laugh out loud. Zhao Yi finally knew what it meant to be a beauty, and all the flowers dimmed with a smile. Even if he didn't want to immerse himself in such beauty, he couldn't help but lose his composure. Seeing Zhao Yi staring at her with such a gaze again, Wang Yuyan's face turned red and she turned her head unnaturally. After regaining his senses, Zhao Yi said, "Let's go, let's eat something first, and then kill them back, so that those people of Western Xia know what it means to leave for 3 days and be impressed." Wang Yuyan nodded, glanced at Zhao Yi, and quickly withdrew her gaze. Unconsciously, Zhao Yi has been regarded as someone who can be close and trusted. Chapter 4. 6 Pulse Divine Sword, Lingbo Micro Step. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. After filling his stomach and leaving the farmhouse, Zhao Yi took Wang Yuyan to a nearby town to lead a horse. Then the two carefully turned back along the escape route from yesterday. Along the way, Wang Yuyan could only feel powerless to be held by Zhao Yi. This excessive intimate contact with the opposite sex made Wang Yuyan, an inexperienced girl, very embarrassed. You should know that Wang Yuyan has never had such a close and long-lasting relationship with her cousin Murongfu. But precisely because of this, Wang Yuyan's heart began to quietly change, which she probably didn't even realize. Zhao Yi's plan is to first find the people and horses of the first-class Hall's Hellion Iron Tree, and then look for opportunities to obtain the antidote to the sorrowful and crisp breeze. One night passed, and he was unaware of the situation of the first-class hall and the beggar's sect. So when he rode away with Wang Yuyan on horseback for a few hours, he had not yet met the people from the first-class hall, but had first encountered the person searching for Wang Yuyan. "Miss Wang. It's Miss Wang. Send the signal quickly." Soon, a team of more than 10 people arrived in front of Zhao Yima, including the figures of Duan Yu and Azhu Abi, as well as Murong Fu. Seeing Wang Yuyan lying in the arms of a stranger dressed in tattered clothes, Murong Fu's eyes froze and he drew his sword to point at Zhao Yi, angrily saying, "Who are you? Why don't you put down my cousin?" Although Duan Yu felt a bit sour and even envious in his heart, he was an insider and quickly said, "Misunderstanding, misunderstanding. Young Master Murong, this is the Zhao brothers of the beggars sect that I mentioned. Thanks to him, he saved Miss Wang yesterday." Humph. Murong Fu's face turned pale with a cold gaze. He certainly guessed Zhao Yi's identity, because Duan Yu had already mentioned before about Zhao Yi rescuing Wang Yuyan. But seeing his beloved cousin lying in someone else's arms since childhood, he felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Watching Wang Yuyan being helped off her horse by Azhu and Bai, Murong Fu expressionlessly took out the prepared antidote and threw it over. After taking the antidote, Wang Yuyan gradually regained her mobility. Just as she was about to thank Zhao Yi for rescuing her, she heard Murong Fu say coldly to Zhao Yi, "Thank you very much for rescuing me. I apologize for not being far away." "Young Master Murong, Brother Zhao didn't say he wanted to leave. Why don't we find a place to drink happily together?" "You shut up." Duan Yu wanted to say something for Zhao Yi, but was intimidated by Murong Fu's sharp gaze. Wang Yuyan knew that her cousin Murong Fu was not interested in the identity of Zhao Yi, a disciple of the 6 bags of the beggars sect, and was also somewhat annoyed by their intimate contact. Therefore, she wanted to reveal that Zhao Yi was not an ordinary disciple of the beggars sect and had outstanding talent. But as she looked up, she coincidentally met Murong Fu's angry eyes and couldn't speak. Zhao Yi's greatest desire was to improve his cultivation, and he had no intention of entanglement with Murong Fu. Glancing at Murong Fu and then at Wang Yuyan, who had buried Zhen's head in her chest, he didn't care and said, "Since the poison in Miss Wang has been detoxified, I can rest assured. There are also young Master Duan and the 2 girls, as long as you have nothing to do. Take care, everyone. We will meet again in the future." After speaking, Zhao Yi specifically added to Wang Yuyan, "Miss Wang, take care of yourself." Wang Yuyan's voice is like the chirping of mosquitoes. Ignoring Murong Fu's ugly expression, Zhao Yi turned his horse's head and left alone. Although Zhao Yi left, Duan Yu wanted to continue staying by the side of Murong Fu and his group, so as to have more opportunities to interact with his beloved. However, his thoughts had long been seen through by Murong Fu, and Murong Fu had long been tired of him. Seeing Duan Yu, a follower, still and motionless, Murong Fu extended his hand and said, "Master Duan, our people are going back to Yanzhou soon. You can part ways with us here." Duan Yu showed a slightly pleasing smile and whispered, "Brother Murong, we can actually go some way. We each go our own way." Murong Fu was infuriated and his face was as cold as ice. Previously, there was a prince of Dali who couldn't drive away the capital, and now there is an unnamed disciple of the beggars sect who has had many close contacts with Wang Yuyan. It has been rumored that it is not good for the reputation of both Mantua Villa and Yanzhou. How can Murong Fu not be angry? Duan Yu looked at Murong Fu's cold expression, then saw that no one dared to speak for him when Murong Fu was angry. He hesitated for a moment, and finally could only scratch his head. He reluctantly withdrew his gaze from Wang Yuyan, said goodbye, and turned around to leave lonely. "Oh, let's meet again another day." Go back to Yanzhou." Murong Fu looked coldly at the figures of Duan Yu and Zhao Yi as they walked away. With a flick of his sleeve, he led Wang Yuyan, Zhu Abi, and others toward Suzhou. "Brother Zhao, wait for me." After being driven away by Murong Fu, Duan Yu, who had only been sad for a while, quickly caught up with Zhao Yi who had not gone far, and his face had already changed into a smiling face. The fact is that Zhao Yi had long known that Murong Fu could not keep Duan Yu with him, so he led his horse slowly with the aim of waiting for Duan Yu to catch up with him. Learning various advanced and top-notch martial arts skills among the Tianlong is currently the most important. Even if Duanyu doesn't find himself, Zhao Yi will still find Duanyu. Brother Zhao, thank you very much for saving Miss Wang. Otherwise, if Miss Wang falls into the hands of those people in the Western Xia first-class hall, it will be troublesome. Zhao Yi said indifferently. Miss Wang instructed Elder Wu of the Beggars sect to defeat Yun Zhanghe. It's only natural for me to save her. Brother Zhao is truly a chivalrous person. It would be great if everyone in the Beggars sect, like you, knew how to repay kindness and distinguish right from wrong. Duanyu sighed. Zhao Yi stopped and said, do you also think that the leader of the Qiao gang was falsely accused and that the disciples of the Beggars sect should not treat him like that? Duanyu scratched his head and said indignantly, my elder brother is a straightforward man who would never do anything to kill vice leader Ma. I believe him. Zhao Yi nodded and said, I also believe that this matter was not done by leader Qiao. Seeing someone recognize him, Duanyu was very happy. Zhao Yi led his horse forward and sighed, however, my martial arts skills are too poor to help leader Qiao. Otherwise, we can secretly uncover the true culprit who killed deputy leader Ma and wash away the injustice for leader Qiao. Upon hearing this, Duanyu said in distress, me too. My martial arts are sometimes agile and sometimes not. Sometimes when encountering villains, it's all luck that allows me to escape. Zhao Ichi said, how could this happen? Did you have a problem practicing martial arts? Duanyu shook his head and said, no, I don't know what's going on. Zhao Yi pondered, I remember yesterday when a person from the first-class hall used poison, Brother Duan didn't cover his mouth and nose, but it seems like he wasn't poisoned. Why is this? Duanyu chuckled, looked left and right and whispered, let me tell you a secret. I accidentally ate a toad last time, and since then, it has been safe from all kinds of poison. I see. Zhao Yi looked like he had a sudden realization. I don't know what kind of martial arts Brother Duan is practicing. Could you please show it to Zhao to find out the reason why Brother Duan's martial arts skills are not effective? If this sentence had been spoken by someone else, Zhao Yi would never have said it so easily. After all, the martial arts he practiced are a person's privacy. But Duanyu is different from those martial arts people who have been walking in the martial arts world for many years and have a calm and cunning personality. He is just a passionate young man who goes out to play in the mountains and rivers. As long as the person he meets does not show any malice, he does not have a defensive heart. Well, well. Upon hearing Zhao Yi's words, Duanyu scratched his head. It was not to guard against Zhao Yi, as he had no intention of doing so. He was just a little embarrassed, afraid of being laughed at by Zhao Yi. If it's inconvenient for Brother Duan, or if you can't trust me, then forget it. As soon as Zhao Yi's provocative tactics were used, Duanyu, who had a simple mind, immediately became anxious. No, no, how could I not trust Brother Zhao? Then I'll use it, Brother Zhao, don't laugh at me. Zhao Yi looked at Duanyu, who had a straightforward personality, and a hint of fierceness flashed deep in his pupils, patiently waiting. On this side, Duanyu had already frowned and pondered, while pinching the fingertip to guide the true energy and unleashing the 6-meridian divine sword. Of course, Duanyu also thought about his father's uncle's explanation that the Dali Duan's 6-meridian divine sword cannot be passed down externally. But when he thought about the extremely strict cultivation conditions of the 6-meridian divine sword, which required one young finger to reach the 4th level realm, few people in the world could achieve it, he no longer hesitated. The most important thing is that yesterday Zhao Yi sacrificed himself to save Wang Yuyan, making him feel reliable. As usual, Duanyu tried again and again, but in the end, after dozens of attempts, he only succeeded in using the 6-meridian divine sword once. Zhao Yi held his breath and observed in secret the movement of true qi when Duanyu used the 6-meridian divine sword, memorizing it in his heart. He originally thought that a top-notch skill like this would require at least Duanyu to recite the mnemonic of true qi movement, but the fact proved that he did not need it. When Duanyu attempted to activate the 6 Meridian Divine Sword, his true qi spontaneously ran along a mysterious trajectory, condensing his fingertips. The only thing that made him feel difficult was that using the 6 Meridian Divine Sword was indeed very exhausting, and his current true energy was not enough to use this unique skill as he pleased. This super talent is indeed a bit against the heavens. I hope it won't be envied by heaven in the future and trigger heavenly retribution. Unconsciously, Zhao Yi had learned the non-legendary technique of the Dali Duan family, the 6 Meridian Divine Sword. As for Duanyu's lack of agility when using the 6 Meridian Divine Sword, Zhao Yi already knows the reason. The root cause is that this kid gets nervous when he uses martial arts. He lacks experience when searching for books at www.zhaoshuyuan.com, and his internal strength has not yet reached the level of using the 6 Meridian Divine Sword with ease. After all, in terms of power, the 6 Meridian Divine Sword is already among the top ranks. Brother Zhao, look, I succeeded once in just a few dozen attempts. Returning to Zhao Yi's side, Duanyu lowered his head and breathed a mournful sigh. Zhao Yi's expression became slightly serious. Let's not talk about this for now. How is your body method? Walking in the martial arts world like you is almost okay, but you must have a way to save your life. Upon hearing this, Duanyu smiled contentedly. What are you laughing at? Duanyu pretended to be mysterious and said, Brother Zhao, there's no need to worry. I happen to have a life-saving trick. If I can't beat it at a critical moment, I'll run away. Not many people can catch up with me. Oh, could you show it to me, brother? Zhao Yi pretended to have no intention of claiming to be his elder brother, which could increase the intimacy between the two, and was most effective for a straightforward and innocent young master like Duanyu. Sure enough, Duanyu was overjoyed when he heard the phrase, for my brother, and exclaimed excitedly, all right, my body technique is called Lingbo micro step, which I learned in a cave. After finishing speaking, Duanyu began to take Lingbo micro steps, his body like a phantom, swaying from left to right, erratic. Who? After running around on the grass, Duanyu dragged a fragment back to Zhao Yi's side, smiling at him like a child waiting to be praised. Zhao Yi looked at Duanyu, who was half a head shorter than himself, and nodded, saying, not bad, this is indeed a rare body technique. With this ultimate move to escape, you can go to the world. Duanyu shook his head and humbly said, no, no, no. If I encounter a powerful expert, I won't be able to escape. Last time I met a great monk from Tubo, it was difficult for me to escape. Chapter 5, October 8th, Zhenlong Chess Game. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Duanyu looking disheartened, Zhao Yi patted his shoulder and encouraged him, Brother Duan, you just lack experience on the spot. You need to practice more in daily life, and don't be nervous when facing enemies. Duanyu nodded somewhat puzzled, and a naive and bright smile reappeared on his face. I know now, thank you for your guidance, Brother Zhao, he said anyway, Duanyu is also one of the seeds of the ultimate master in the future, and his character is not a big problem. He is still soft-lipped when it comes to eating others, let alone learning their two great skills at once. After thinking for a moment, Zhao Yi said, Brother Duan, you can use true qi to condense the divine palace, pass Xuanji, and then try going out of Taiyuan, Shaofu, and Xiangyang. Okay. Although Duanyu didn't understand what Zhao Yi meant, he still tried the method of using true qi as Zhao Yi suggested. He held on to his mind and used his true qi to move his body. For a moment, a brilliant golden true qi transforming sword shot out from his right index finger, but it didn't enter the ground a few feet away and exploded into a deep hole the size of a thumb. This. Duanyu had a dull expression on his face, feeling that the true qi transformation sword he had used this time resembled both a yang finger and a 6 Meridian divine sword. But he clearly did not reveal the operation formula of the 6 Meridian divine sword. How could anyone learn such advanced martial arts with just a glance? So this must not be a 6-meridian divine sword, but Zhao Yi's own unique martial arts, Duan Yu said to himself. I didn't expect the two of them to just meet by chance, but Zhao Yi was so kind to him. Duan Yu's blood surged in his body, and he turned his head excitedly to grab Zhao Yi's hand. Brother Zhao, the divine skill you taught me is really amazing. It's just like how I used that skill just now. In fact, this is the simplified version of the 6-meridian divine sword that Zhao Yigong just comprehended, tailored for Duan Yu. It can also be considered as a gratitude to Duan Yu for imparting Duan's unique skills. Looking at Duan Yu with an excited face, Zhao Yi said, if you encounter a strong enemy in the future, use this move first. As for the 6-meridian divine sword, you can use it when you can use it freely or when you encounter a life and death crisis. Okay. Duan Yu quickly nodded, turned around and tried a few more times, only to find that as long as Zhao Yi said to operate the true qi, it was effortless to condense the sword qi, only slightly consuming the spirit. He was immediately excited and danced on the grass. Now I can protect Miss Wang. If I encounter a strong enemy again, I don't have to run away. No, we still can't kill indiscriminately. Killing is not good, Zhuangzi said, all things are equal. Zhao Yi held the horse rope with one hand and carried it behind his back with the other, leisurely walking forward, watching the silly boy mutter and chatter alone. Brother Zhao, you and I are so compatible, and you have taught me martial arts. How about we become sworn brothers? In the future, we will have good fortune and share difficulties together. Just as Zhao Yi was gazing out of his mind at the horizon, Duan Yu caught up and smiled. Worshipping again. Zhao Yi frowned slightly, but he knew that Duan Yu had already sworn with Qiao Feng. But it's not bad to become sworn brothers with this Prince of Dali. This kid has no other problems besides being promiscuous and loving each other. Everyone has a lovely and beautiful heart, which cannot be considered a big mistake. As long as this kid is not as lecherous and foolish as his father, and does some unethical things, that's good. Okay, since you have this intention, then we will form a sworn alliance here today. Zhao Yi agreed. Upon hearing this, Duan Yu's eyebrows lit up with joy and he applauded, great. I have another big brother. In an instant, the unhappiness of being driven away by Murong Fu was thrown into the clouds. I'm Zhao Yi. I'm Duan Yu. Today, I swear to the Heavenly Alliance and form a sworn alliance with the Golden Orchid. The two immediately became brothers and exchanged ages. Duan Yu is 19 years old this year, and Zhao Yi is 20.1 years old, so Zhao Yi ranks second. There is also a Qiao Feng above the two of them. Second brother. Zhao Yi was a bit speechless, it wasn't his fault, but he felt a bit uneasy in his heart. Brother Zhao, where are we going now? Go to the nearby town and have a drink. Okay, second brother, I'll just get drunk with you today. Duan Yu was secretly amused in his heart. Last time he couldn't drink enough from Qiao Feng, but later he had no choice but to use his internal strength to cheat. This time, he didn't believe he couldn't drink enough from Zhao Yi. However, it was night, and as expected by Duan Yu, neither of them drank down the other. As fellow cheaters, the two of them remained silent. Ha ha ha. Finally, Duan Yu chuckled a few times and decided not to fight anymore. Stop drinking, second brother, I'm going to bed. You should also rest early, he said. Okay, let's have it another day. Wuxi City, inside an inn. Murong Fu, who was in a bad mood, closed his eyes and remained silent, while Wang Yuyan sitting next to her looked uneasy. Cousin, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have made you worry. Murong Fu opened his eyes and scolded softly, Yuyan, I didn't tell you not to come out with me. The outside world is dangerous, why don't you listen? I won't dare again next time. Murong Fu's mind was filled with thoughts of Wang Yuyan and Zhao Yi spending the night together, as well as the scene of Wang Yuyan being held by Zhao Yi when they met. He felt frustrated and said, tomorrow, I will have Azhu Abi escort you back to the Mandala villa. What about you, cousin? Aren't you going back to Yanzhou? Murong Fuman casually said, I still have something to do. Upon hearing this, Wang Yuyan lowered her head and stroked her long hair in silence. Murong Fu drank a cup of tea and pressed it down on the table, continuing, in the future, you should not have any more contact with that young man Duanyu. Also, you should not have any more contact with people like the beggars sect who are not very honest. Wang Yuyan looked up and said, Cousin, Brother Jiao is not an ordinary disciple of the beggars sect. He has a high talent for martial arts. Murong Fu sneered, a beggars sect disciple with 6 bags, has a high talent for martial arts. How high can it be? Yuyan, what's wrong with you? First, speak for that guy surnamed Duan. You know he's not well-intentioned. It's good now, an unknown member of the beggars sect is so unique in your eyes. Isn't it that every time you see someone from all over the world, they are so outstanding? Wang Yuyan felt aggrieved in her heart and said, Cousin, no, Brother Jiao is really not an ordinary person. Wang Yuyan originally intended to say that Zhao Yi was likely to become a top-notch expert in the martial arts world in the future. Meeting such people was not a bad thing, but Murong Fu, who had already been filled with anger, couldn't bear to listen at this moment. All right. After a furious reprimand, Murong Fu said with a gloomy face, it's already late. You should go back to your room and rest. Wang Yuyan lost her focus in her eyes, got up slowly, and left the room. After Wang Yuyan left, Murong Fu poured a cup of tea with a cold expression on his face and drank it all in one gulp. A small beggar's sect disciple with 6 bags, in my eyes like an ant, what is worth praising? After staying with Duanyu for another day, Zhao Yi found an excuse to part ways. Then Zhao Yi found a clean place and began practicing all the martial arts he had learned in the past few days. As expected, he used all the newly learned martial arts as if he had been practicing hard for a long time, without any sense of bitterness. Due to the limitation of skill, the strength of the displayed power varies. This is not surprising either. Martial arts moves and body techniques can be mastered by those with exceptional talents without the need for frequent practice. However, internal power cultivation cannot be achieved overnight, and no one can possess decades or even centuries of skill without reason. But the good thing is that although his internal power cannot reach the sky in one step, Zhao Yi's current understanding is astonishing. No matter what kind of internal skill he cultivates, the speed of accumulating internal power is 10 times or even dozens of times faster than that of ordinary people. Just like in the past few days, Zhao Yi has been practicing the little Wuxiang divine skill, and his internal strength has become much deeper than before. In addition, he has advanced martial arts such as the Dragon Claw Hand, which is only one step away from a quasi-second-rate expert. However, the biggest characteristic of Zhao Wuxiang divine skill is not its fast growth of internal power, but its ability to imitate the martial arts moves of various schools and schools. When it comes to the fastest growth of internal strength, it is best to promote the supreme divine skill of the Xiaoyao sect, the Baiming divine skill, and the first martial art of Shaolin Temple, the Yijin Jing, passed down by the Bodhisattva. Baiming divine skill, Yijin Jing. Zhao Yi murmured to himself. Before separating from Duanyu, Zhao Yi actually managed to extract the cultivation formula of Baiming divine arts from Duanyu's mouth. However, this foolish boy has lost his secret script, and he is naturally not interested in martial arts, so he can't even come up with a specific cultivation formula. Internal mental and external martial arts body techniques are different. Even with high talent, it is impossible to see the method of cultivation at a glance. Unless one day Zhao Yishio becomes so powerful that he can see through a person's flesh, muscles, and bones with his martial arts skills concentrated in his eyes. But that's just a legend, and if it were to happen at that time, Zhao Yi wouldn't need to do the peeping technique anymore. As for the Yi Jin Jing, it should be hidden in Shaolin Temple now. I don't know exactly which meditation room it is in. Anyway, it's not in the Sutra Pavilion, otherwise it would have been stolen by the two old thieves, Xiaoyuanshan and Morongbo. Also, if the I Jin Jing were in Sanskrit, few people in the world would be able to learn it. Zhao Yi is not certain that he will be able to learn. After all, talent is one thing, but not recognizing words is another thing. In the end, Zhao Yi targeted the northern underworld divine skill of the Xiaoyao sect. On the 8th day of October, playing the Drum Mountain and playing the Zhenlong chess game. There are still a few months left until the start of the Zhenlong chess game, and Zhao Yi is not in a hurry. It's a good time to take advantage of this time to cultivate more internal skills. In addition, it is necessary to look for Shuzhu and make preparations. If you are unsure whether you can crack the Zhenlong chess game, you must find Shuzhu in advance and try to make this little monk listen to your words. In this way, whether through the Zhenlong chess game or the virtual bamboo game, one can eventually master all the martial arts of the Xiaoyao sect's Wuxia. Before that, Zhao Yi plans to first look for Qiao Feng. Zhao Yi knew that it was not easy to get involved in the matter between Qiao Feng and Xiao Yuanshan's father and son. Xiao Yuanshan has been in the dark all along, and Zhao Yi's hasty intervention in Xiao Yuanshan's plan is likely to bring about a fatal accident. However, to remind Qiao Feng, it is still possible to find a way to save Miss Chu's life. Additionally, there may be a chance to learn Qiao Feng's unique skill, the 18 dragon subduing palms. Ah, have you heard that the leader of the beggars sect, Qiao Feng, is actually from Khitan? Now he not only killed the deputy leader of the beggars sect, Ma Deyuan, but also his adoptive father, foster mother, and mentor, Master Xuanku. It's really unpredictable. We've always regarded him as a great hero, but we didn't expect him to be such a ruthless person. If this person is not eliminated, I, the great song, will never have peace. I heard that Jiuxian village has summoned heroes from all over the world to discuss a plan to kill this evil thief. Why don't we finish our food and go to Jiuxian village together to contribute? Brother Lu said, well, come on, do it. In an inn, after hearing the discussions of some martial artists, Zhao Yi sighed in his heart and prepared to go to Jiuxian village. He thought that many things would become different because of his arrival. But some things have a cause and a result, and he cannot change them. Just like Qiao Feng knowing his background, he would definitely go to his adoptive parents and mentors to inquire about it. And since Xiao Yuanshan discovered that his son had been falsely accused by members of the beggars sect, he must have even more hatred towards the people of Song and implemented a plan to force his son to take the desperate path of betraying Song and returning to Liao. Zhao Yi couldn't provoke Xiao Yuanshan, a top martial arts expert who had been secretly learning martial arts at Shaolin Temple for many years, nor could he resolve Xiao Yuanshan's hatred towards the Song people. The father and son can only protect one of them, and if Qiao Feng wants to avoid despair and hardship in the future, and there is no way to survive, Miss Azhu must not die. In fact, that day in the apricot forest, Zhao Yi had already noticed that Miss Azhu had a deep affection for Qiao Feng, who was chivalrous, righteous, and had clear grievances. This is the reason why he didn't have any ulterior motives even when he saw Azhu and went to the book garden www.zhaozhuyuan.com. Qiao Feng and Zhu, these hardworking Mandarin ducks, are guaranteed by him. Drive. On the way to Jiuxian village in Hangzhou, Zhao Yi met many people, including merchants and refugees, but more of them were martial arts heroes carrying swords and swords. It seems that these people in the martial arts world are all planning to go to the Jiuxian manor to discuss the great plan of suppressing thieves. Qiao Feng has now become a target of public criticism. Towards evening, Zhao Yi arrived at a small town not far from Hangzhou. When Zhao Yi was about to open the door and rest in an inn in the town, he saw a familiar figure walking into the inn. Shop owner, could you please give me a room and bring me some hot water? At the entrance, there was a tall and rugged man with a beard all over his face, holding a woman with an ugly appearance that seemed to be seriously ill in his arms. His eyes were fixed on the hesitant shopkeeper behind the counter. Under the oppressive gaze of the big man, the shopkeeper regained his composure and hurriedly said, "Okay. Okay, guest, please, Li. There's a room on the second floor, and I'll get some hot water for this guest." "Okay." Step. The wooden planks on the stairs were creaking as the 9-foot man, who was holding someone in his arms, stepped on them. Both the innkeeper and the servant were frightened by the lion-like aura emanating from the man's body, and they dared not approach, carefully serving him. Zhao Yi already knew who this big man was. When the big man went to a guest room at the end of the right aisle, he calmly walked into his room and closed the door. Dong dong dong. At midnight. When everything was quiet, the burly man was performing exercises to heal the woman on the bed when suddenly a knock came from the door. The big man suddenly became alert and turned his head to drink lightly. Who? Chapter 6. Small Figures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master Qiao, it's me, Zhao Yi, a disciple of the beggars sect with 6 bags. Zhao Yi stood at the door and said something. The person inside the room opened the door upon hearing this, and a pair of wild beast-like eyes looked at Zhao Yi with suspicion. Zhao Yi smiled and said, "Master Qiao, I saw you bringing a seriously ill girl to stay overnight. There were many people and many eyes, so it was inconvenient to disturb you. However, there are indeed some important things I want to tell you now." The big man inside the door, also known as Qiao Feng, was not in a hurry to let Zhao Yi into the room. Instead, he said with a gloomy expression, "Brother Zhao, I am no longer the leader of the beggars sect, and the affairs of the beggars sect have nothing to do with me. You should go back, so as not to be misunderstood." Zhao Yi knew that Qiao Feng was thinking for him, so as not to be rejected by the disciples and the gang. He pressed the door of the house and said, "Please listen to me finish speaking, leader." Zhao Yi glanced into the room and said, "I believe the guild leader already knows about the 2 leaders of Jixian Manor and the enemy of the King of Hell, Qiushui. They are summoning heroes from all over the world to fight against you together." Qiao Feng nodded and a calm and fearless aura rose in his eyes. "So what?" Zhao Yidao said, "I know the sect leader doesn't care about these people joining forces, but since the sect leader knows there are tigers in the mountain but leans towards the Tiger Mountain tour and is taking a seriously ill girl with him, it seems that he is planning to ask Dr. Xue to save this girl." Qiao Feng was slightly surprised, as if he had never thought that Zhao Yi, who used to be ordinary, would be so clever. Seeing that he couldn't hide it, he said with a calm face, "Not bad, I had this intention." Zhao Yi glanced left and right and said, "Can I come in and talk about it?" "Please come in." This time, Qiao Feng did not refuse again and allowed Zhao Yi to enter the room, closing the door. Cough. The woman who was heavily injured on the couch tried her best to hold on to the bedboard and sit up. Zhao Yi and Qiao Feng sat down around a table and said, "In my opinion, the gang leader cannot just request Dr. Xue to save this girl like this." Qiao Feng furrowed his brows and said, "Why do you say such a thing? Is there any reason why Dr. Xue calls himself a divine doctor and refuses to save him in the face of death? No big deal, I'll teach him a few unique martial arts moves as a reward." Zhao Yi shook his head and said, "Of course it was possible before, but now it's different. He's working together with all the heroes in the world to deal with you. How could he possibly agree to help you save this girl?" Upon hearing this, Qiao Feng's eyes suddenly flashed with anger, but he quickly calmed down and remained silent. Qiao Feng was not a fool either. He looked up at Zhao Yi and said, "Zhao brothers came to find Qiao for this matter." Zhao Yi knew that Qiao Feng had doubts about him and said, "This is second to none. To be honest, since the last time Xingzilin parted ways, I have always had a bad feeling in my heart. No matter what others say, I always believe that the death of Vice Leader Ma was not caused by the leader." Qiao Feng's heart trembled as he looked at Zhao Yi for a long time, his face darkened. However, he did not expect that there was still someone in the beggars sect willing to believe him, who was still an insignificant ordinary disciple in the sect. If it weren't for drinking together a few times, and the fact that Xingzilin Zhao Yi was accidentally injured last time, Qiao Feng wouldn't even remember having such a person in the gang. You should know that since the last apricot forest incident, Qiao Feng's life has undergone earth-shattering changes. Overnight, all the brothers of the Beggars sect, along with their former friends, are strangers to him, and many people even despise and detest his identity as a Liao native. So, what if I'm really from Liao? Qiao Feng looked into Zhao Yi's eyes and said. Zhao Yi did not immediately answer, but turned his head to look at the injured woman lying on the bed and asked, "May I ask this girl, if the person who is saving you in front of you is from Liao, what do you think in your heart?" Upon hearing this, Qiao Feng lowered his head. He was originally a resolute and bloodthirsty man, and the leader of the Beggars sect, who was once admired by countless people, now began to feel inferior and self-doubt. It's really a stroke of fate. Whether Brother Qiao is from the Song dynasty or the Liao dynasty, in my heart, he is a straightforward, chivalrous and courageous man. The voice of the woman on the couch may be weak, but she is very firm. After listening to this woman's words, Zhao Yi turned around and looked at Qiao Feng, whose expression was somewhat moved. "Guild leader, you heard me too. It doesn't matter who you are, what you did is important." Qiao Feng remained silent and sneered again and again, staring at Zhao Yi with a pair of terrifying eyes. "Didn't you hear that I killed my adoptive father, mother, and mentor? Now, I am the big demon that everyone can't help but get rid of." Zhao Yizhua looked back and said, "Did you do it?" Qiao Feng's face twitched as he thought of his adoptive father, foster mother, and mentor being killed. He was very excited and clenched his fists, growling low, "No. I didn't kill my adoptive father, foster mother, or mentor. Someone framed me, and I must capture this person and dismember him to pieces." Zhao Yi sighed in his heart. "Even if you really find this person, I'm afraid you can't break this person into pieces." To get to the point, Zhao Yi said, "Sect leader, let's leave this aside for now. Let's talk about Juxian Zhuang Guangfa hero Tai wanting to work together to deal with you and save this girl." Qiao Feng knew that Zhao Yi wouldn't come looking for him for no reason and pondered, "What do you think?" Zhao Yidao said, "Among these people, there are naturally those who have ulterior motives and want to boost the situation, but most of them are indeed chivalrous individuals with few stigmatizations. I believe the sect leader will not inflict any harm on these gang members." "Of course not." Qiao Feng's gaze was mesmerized, as if he didn't know if he could take action. "But if you don't want to kill them, at least you should take care of your own life." Qiao Feng looked up. Zhao Yi explained, "The gang leader is honest and upright in his actions, but there are many deceitful people in the martial arts world. There are also some malicious individuals who wish to create trouble and gain benefits. Since you have been wronged by others, you should first spare your life in order to uncover the truth and restore your innocence. Secondly, many things in the world, except for being falsely accused, are all caused by misunderstandings. I hope that when investigating the real culprit, Brother Qiao can ask everything clearly before taking action, so as not to harm the innocent." Qiao Feng was stunned, and it was hard to believe that these mature and calm words came from a silent and unknown population in the Beggars sect. And this person is still so young. Qiao Feng can feel the honesty and sincerity between dialect words. Qiao Feng silently clenched his 10 fingers. After the Xingling incident, he only felt the darkness of life and felt lonely and cold inside. Later, when he met Miss Azhu, he finally felt a hint of warmth. Now there is another Zhao Yi, making him feel that not everyone misunderstood and disliked him. With a slight warmth in his heart, Qiao Feng lifted his head and clenched his fists heavily, saying, "Thank you very much, Brother Zhao." Qiao Feng must remember Brother Zhao's reminder and never indiscriminately kill innocent people. Zhao Yi smiled casually, but in his heart, he didn't know exactly what Qiao Feng's fate would be in the future. As the second younger brother, there is only so much he can do at the moment. If he intervenes too much, Xiao Yuan Shan, who is hidden in the dark, will definitely not spare him. After talking about Jiuxian village, Zhao Yi turned around and looked at the disfigured woman on the bed. It wasn't Azhu, but who else could it be? Now let's talk about this girl again. In my opinion, it's better for me to take this girl to visit Dr. Shui and request him to treat her illness and injuries. Xiao Feng hesitated at the words. I heard that this person surnamed Shui has a bad temper. If my brother takes Miss Ruan's family to seek medical treatment, I'm afraid this person may not be willing to do so. If I personally go and he doesn't agree, I can at least force him or exchange a divine skill with him. Xiao Feng almost said that Zhao Yi was silent and nameless, and the divine physician Xue Muhua wouldn't even agree to meet him. Zhao Yi doesn't care either. Currently, he is just an unknown person in the martial arts world, which is an undeniable fact. However, Long Xiang will have a day of hibernation in the sky, and he is not in a hurry. His reputation needs to be worked hard bit by bit. The Jiuxian village is now a dragon's pond and tiger's den. The guild leader may be able to escape alone, but if he takes Ruan Miss with him, not only will he not be able to save her, but he will also drag himself down. Xiao Feng frowned and said, then. Zhao Yi asked, could you please tell Miss Ruan what illness she has? Xiao Feng looked at Zhao Yi for a moment, then turned his head to look at Azhu on the couch with a haggard expression. She was hit by Shaolin's powerful diamond palm. Zhao Yi pretended to be surprised and pondered for a moment before saying, in that case, I have a way for Dr. Shui to treat Miss Ruan. In fact, as long as it wasn't for Xiao Feng taking Azhu to Jiuxian village and anyone else, Xue Muhua had no reason to refuse. The reason is that the one in Azhu is the great diamond palm. As long as he creates a set of excuses, Xue Muhua has to save anyone who cares about maintaining the reputation of Shaolin and wants to inquire about the reason for Azhu's injury. Xiao Feng naturally knew that it was impossible to ask Xue Muhua to save someone based on his current situation. Seeing Zhao Yichengzu in his chest, he still felt a little uneasy and asked, Zhao brothers are really confident. Zhao Yi nodded and said, please rest assured, guild leader. I will definitely give you a lively Ruan girl. On the couch, she deliberately disguised herself as an ugly woman in yellow and forced a smile on her face, saying, is brother Zhao making fun of me? Xiao Feng stared at Zhao Yi for a long time, and seeing that Zhao Yi's expression was open and without any signs of deceit, he gradually dispelled his worries. Okay, I'll entrust Miss Ruan's matter to brother Zhao. In the future, I, Xiao Feng, will definitely repay you, but I won't hesitate if there is a mission. The leader's words are heavy. On the roof of the inn where Xiao Feng and Zhao Yi lived, a black shadow swept into the night sky and disappeared. The next morning. Unlike yesterday it was Xiao Feng who carried Azhu into the inn. Today, it is Zhao Yi who left the inn with Azhu. Miss Ruan, when you arrive at Jiuxian village, you should obey my orders. If Dr. Shui and others ask you, then tell them the reason for your injury as I said. The ugly woman held in Zhao Yi's arms was actually Azhu, a maid under Murong Fu's command. Upon hearing this, a hint of a smile appeared in her eyes and she weakly said, Brother Zhao is trying to blackmail me with the reputation of Shaolin's righteousness, so that they have to treat me. Yes, you're really smart. Clearly, it was Brother Zhao's exceptional intelligence and strategy that caught the soft spots of these notorious Jianghu people. Azhu is truly an ancient spirit, a monster, and a smart person who knows how to hit a man's itch. But Zhao Yi didn't accept this trick. He smiled and strode towards Jiuxian village. Jiuxian village. Amidst the hustle and bustle of people, a somewhat abrupt figure arrived at the entrance. When even a gatekeeper disciple walked up and said, Does this brother have a hero post from our village? Zhao Yi shook his head. The disciple of Jiuxian Zhuang who inquired immediately changed his face upon hearing this. Seeing Zhao Yi still holding an ugly woman in his arms, his eyes couldn't help but become even more disgusted. Hurry up, what are you doing without a hero post? If you ask for a doctor, go to the medical clinic in the city. I am here to seek the treatment of a wounded friend from Dr. Shui. Seeking to see Dr. Shui. Are you crazy? Who do you think you are? Is Dr. Shui something you can see if you want? Let's go, let's go. You don't know that Jushian Zhuang is inviting all the heroes of the world to discuss important matters. What kind of trouble are you here to cause? Two disciples of Jushian Zhuang walked with frowns to drive away Zhao Yi. Those prominent figures in the martial arts world who came holding hero posts either ignored or simply found Zhao Yi funny when passing by. They looked at him and sneered again, then strode into the village with a sense of superiority. This is a cruel fact in the martial arts world. Famous individuals, those from prestigious backgrounds, respected individuals, and those from unknown backgrounds are no different from wild dogs on the roadside. At the entrance of a distant alley, a tall and upright figure saw this scene from afar. He couldn't help but clench his fist and forcefully hit the wall beside him, with a hint of worry and anger flashing in his eyes. After pondering for a moment, he finally couldn't rest assured and was ready to step forward in person. However, at that moment, there was a new change outside the entrance of the Zhaozhuyuan.com bookstore, and he immediately stopped walking. Outside the gate of the Jushian Manor, Zhao Yi ignored the two guard dogs who looked down at people and walked with sleeves rolled up. He slightly mobilized his internal strength and shouted loudly towards the inside of the manor, "I used to think that Dr. Shui had unparalleled medical skills and saved countless people. He must be a kind and benevolent person. How could he refuse to save anyone in the face of death? Now, it seems that many famous people in the world are just empty names, and their names do not live up to reality. Hey, stinky kid, what are you talking nonsense about? How dare you insult Dr. Shui? Are you determined to cause trouble? If you don't leave, believe it or not, you won't be able to eat and walk around." At the alleyway more than 10 zhang away, I never expected Zhao Yi to have such courage. The tall man was not in a hurry to intervene and held his chest, secretly admiring, these Zhao brothers haven't seen each other for days, but their internal strength has increased significantly. "You're not leaving yet." Outside the gate of Jushian Zhuang, seeing more and more onlookers, and unable to bully a person holding a seriously ill woman in public, several gatekeepers couldn't help but feel angry. Zhao Yi turned a blind eye to these people and continued to use his airway. Zhao heard that the Jushian village has recently been led by two village leaders and Shueshini to gather heroes from all over the world to discuss dealing with the former leader of the beggars sect, Qiao Feng. I must have heard about Qiao Feng's recent killing of his adoptive father, mother, and mentor, and felt indignant. He wanted to work together to punish the thief and seek justice. Shueshini's determination to uphold justice and eliminate demons is so firm. How could he refuse to save even a weak woman in critical condition? Wow! Upon hearing Zhao Yi's words, the people from around and some unknown martial arts figures began to sympathize and engage in discussions with each other. At this moment, a cold snort came from the village. "I see who is spreading rumors and making a fuss here, forcing me to save people." Chapter 7. Poisonous Woman Kong Min. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A group of figures walked out of the village, including the two leaders of Jushian village, Yu Ji and Yu Ju, as well as the divine physician Shui Muhua and others. It was Shui Muhua who was speaking earlier. Glancing at Zhao Yi and Shui Muhua, he said, "Are you a disciple of the beggars sect? But you think saying this would force me to save someone? Dreaming. If you want to save her, I won't save her." At this moment, several elders of the beggars sect, Wuxia, who came out with Shui Muhua, also saw Zhao Yi dressed in beggars sect attire. "I can't hang my face. As a disciple of the beggars sect, if you want to save someone, don't you know that you have to report the names of me and elder Shiwu here and make a big fuss, tarnishing the reputation of our beggars sect?" Zhao Yi turned his head to look at the person speaking, by Shijing, the law enforcement elder of the beggars sect. This old ghost doesn't know how to help his own people, let alone save lives. He only knows how to please Xuemuhua. It's really hypocritical. Zhao Yi shifted his gaze away from Bai Shijing and looked at Xuemuhua, saying, "It seems that I am indeed meddling in my own affairs. Even the so-called martial arts experts are unwilling to take action to save people. Why should an unknown person like me rush around to save an unfamiliar person? Don't you know her? I picked it up on the way." "Humph, kid, don't try to provoke me. Is asking you to save someone just to provoke you?" Although Xuemuhua verbally said he was unwilling to save, Zhao Yi could see that the other party had already begun to hesitate. He calmly let Xuemuhua and others see the palm prints on Azhu's body, turned around and prepared to leave. "Since Dr. Xue is unwilling to take action to save this girl, I have nothing to say. I can only say that this girl is pitiful, and I don't know who slapped her so cruelly. Currently, she is on the brink of death, and I'm afraid she won't be able to survive tonight." "Wait a minute." Seeing the palm print on Azhu's body, Xuemuhua's eyelids twitched and quickly walked over holding a feather fan. "Is she in the big power diamond palm? Zhao Yi frowned, looking unclear. "Wow." The people around were shocked at the words. "What? Powerful diamond palm? Isn't that the martial arts masterpiece of Abbot Xuanxi of Shaolin Temple?" "Nonsense. How could Abbot Xuanxi poison a weak woman like this?" Amitabha Buddha. Amidst a commotion of discussions, another group of figures surged out of the village, with Shaolin Temple's Xiannan Xuanji and other two monks at the forefront. The two of them immediately became suspicious when they heard the words powerful diamond palm. When they arrived at Zhao Yi and saw the palm print on the woman in Zhao Yi's arms, both of them changed colors at the same time. Indeed. A powerful diamond palm. And those with this palm power may only have. Xuannan's face looks ugly. Zhao Yi sneered at the words and said, "I wonder who hurt this girl. It turns out to be Abbot Xuanxi of Shaolin Temple." Xuanji was furious and said, "You're talking nonsense. My abbot and senior brother have never left the temple in these years." Xuanji was about to argue, but his senior brother Xiannan gave him a hard time. Knowing that he was in love, Xuanxi immediately suppressed his anger and clasped his hands together, bowing his head and reciting the Buddhist name. Zhao Yi looked around and said, "Although I am an unknown disciple of the Beggars sect, I have also heard that this great diamond palm is the supreme martial art of Shaolin, and it is extremely difficult to cultivate. I believe that as a few people just said, only Shaolin Xuanxi Abbot knows this martial art. Since that's the case, it's clear that the girl in my arms was injured by Abbot Xuanxi." Xuemuhua said, "If Abbot Xuanxi had used this great diamond palm, wouldn't this girl have the reason to still be alive to this day?" Zhao Yi's face turned slightly cold and he said, "How would I know about this? I don't know why Abbot Xuanxi took action against a girl's family who is powerless, but people's hearts are unpredictable, and not everything needs a reason." Dr. Xue refused to save this girl, so I won't waste my breath here. Goodbye. Wait a minute. At this point, Xuemuhua is no longer willing to save people, and he is also struggling to get off. Otherwise, the reputation of Shaolin Temple for 100 years will be difficult to maintain. In front of everyone's eyes, these self-proclaimed righteous martial arts warriors have also become righteous individuals, and their hearts will inevitably be lost. Once their hearts are lost, they will continue to talk and discuss what to do together to punish the evil thief Qiao Feng and eliminate harm for the people, which has become a joke. "Take this girl into the village," Xuemuhua said. "Everything is waiting for this girl to be cured. Let's clarify the situation before we talk about it." Since Xuemuhua agreed to save the person, Zhao Yi didn't need to say more and walked into the village holding Azhu, who had been unconscious under his command. In the crowd, Bai Shijing looked slightly sinister at Zhao Yi's back. From the beginning, he spoke out to scold Zhao Yi, but when Zhao Yi turned a blind eye to his grand law enforcement elder, he harbored resentment. However, he has always been good at hiding and never shows these traces in front of people. Even a mere disciple with 6 bags dares to be so disrespectful to me. Whether you truly have no sense of superiority or are eager to save others, when you return to the gang, you will definitely suffer some hardships. What's going on? How could Abbot Xuanxi have inflicted such a cruel blow on a girl's family? Who is this girl? Stop talking nonsense, this matter must not have been done by my abbot's senior brother. Is there anyone else in our territory of the great Song dynasty who can wield the great diamond palm and possess such skills, Master Xuanji and Master Xiannan? This. Outside a room, everyone was discussing, while inside, Shuemuhua, known as the enemy of the Yan king, was healing Azhu, who had disguised himself and changed his appearance. As for Zhao Yi, not many people cared and stood alone in a corner of the yard. Occasionally, a few people cast their gaze, but they didn't have a good expression. After all, Zhao Yi's attitude of seeking help from a divine doctor is too bad. To put it bluntly, I offended the divine physician Shuemuhua. And among them are those who yearn for the day when they will be seriously injured or sick and be treated by Dr. Xue. Who dares to show any disrespect to Dr. Xue? Brother Zhao is really a good means. In terms of intelligence, I am not as good as him. Fortunately, he helped save Miss Azhu. Master Xiannan and Master Xuanji, do you know the feeling of being wronged now? On a rooftop, Xiao Feng, who was lying down and watching, saw Shaolin monks like Xiannan and Xianji in the courtyard surrounded by people who couldn't explain clearly, and his heart couldn't help but feel a little happy. Seeing that the time to make an appointment with Zhao Yi was approaching, Xiao Feng suddenly stood up, dressed in a robe to hunt, wielding a powerful inner strength. His voice echoed like thunder throughout the entire Jushin manor. Since you have come thousands of miles from all over the world and want to unite to deal with me, Qiao, who is 3 miles away in the outskirts of the city, is waiting for your great help. After speaking, Xiao Feng's tall figure rolled up his robe and swept it off the roof without a trace. It's Xiao Feng. Xiao Feng's great villain is here. Hurry up and inform the manor master that there is also Dr. Xue. In an instant, the entire Jushin village was startled by it, with hundreds of figures hurriedly wielding swords and knives, as if facing a great enemy. Shuemuhua heard the commotion and pushed the door open, walking out with a few silver needles in his hand. Yu Ji, who had already gathered the heroes to lead the crowd, immediately turned around and said, Dr. Xue doesn't need to go. First, cure that girl and clear the name of Abbot Xuanxi of Shaolin Temple. Besides, if any of our brothers are injured later, Dr. Xue can also be our backup and treat the injured. Shuemuhua nodded at the words. He was just a doctor who saved lives and was not suitable for charging into battle. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. At that moment, as the head of Jushin Manor, Yu Ji raised his arms and led a group of martial arts heroes to rush towards the outskirts of the city. What are you going to do? With your strength, are you going to die? Shuemuhua couldn't help but sneer as he saw Zhao Yi also planning to go and assist. Zhao Yidao said, although my strength is weak, I can still help a little. Whoever gets injured, I will carry him back for you to treat. Shuemuhua glanced at Zhao Yi upon hearing this, as if he had developed a slight liking for him. But he is also a person with great face, unwilling to say a word more, and stepped into the house. Zhao Yi glanced at the empty courtyard with few people left and rushed towards the outskirts of the city. Hongzhou City, located 3 miles in the suburbs. The terrain here is flat, with a large open space surrounded by trees but not many, making it a great place with a wide view. By the time Zhao Yi arrived, Xiao Feng and the heroes of Jushin village had already broken up in conversation, to the point where their swords were at a loss and they were about to explode. Ultimately, all of this was written by Xiao Yuanshan. Otherwise, even if Xiao Feng bears the suspicion of killing Ma Deyuan and has an additional identity as a member of the Liao dynasty, he wouldn't be immediately hated by so many people. But Xiao Yuanshan secretly added a spark. In this case, these martial arts practitioners who claim to be chivalrous, righteous would not be filled with righteous indignation and rise up in groups to attack. You should know that the achievement of eliminating the evil thief Qiao Feng alone is enough to make a person famous in the martial arts world and respected by their descendants. Zhao Yi knew he couldn't stop this matter, and he didn't want to stop it. As for the dead, he didn't care even more. This is the martial arts world, where is there an immortal in the martial arts world? The only thing he needs to do is to keep Qiao Feng calm and not be a big demon who has lost his rationality and indiscriminately killed innocent people. In addition, Zhao Yi is not worried that Qiao Feng will be killed by people from Juxian village. Because Qiao Feng also has an excellent martial arts master hidden in the dark. Seeing that everyone in Juxian village didn't listen to Qiao Feng's explanation at all, they set out to surround him in groups, and a big battle was about to break out. Zhao Yi stood in the distance, calmly preparing to secretly learn these people's martial arts. At this moment, a seductive figure with a curled strand of hair and a cold smile in her eyes walked towards Zhao Yi. Zhao Yi frowned and didn't expect Kang Min, a poisonous woman, to be there too. Why don't you come on stage and deal with the villain Qiao Feng together? Kang Min's red lips were fiery, and her eyes were suspicious as she looked at Zhao Yi. Zhao Yidao said, I am just a non-mainstream disciple of the beggars sect. Going up there won't be much help. Why don't I wait on the side and see that the high-ranking hero has been seriously injured? I'll take him back and ask Dr. Xue for treatment. Upon hearing this, Kang Min glanced at Zhao Yi with a pair of seductive eyes. Seeing Zhao Yi's calm expression, she let go of her doubts and approached him, seemingly wanting to watch the battle side by side with him. Zhao Yi calmly distanced himself at the sight. You cannot stand with this witch, she is poisonous. Unexpectedly, Kang Min noticed the subtle movements of Zhao Yi taking a step back. Seeing a small disciple with 6 bags dare to despise him, Kang Min immediately stopped, her seductive eyes filled with anger. Kang Min stared coldly at Zhao Yi for a moment, then searched for the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com and thought of several poison schemes in her heart. She then turned her head and looked back at the fierce fighting crowd in the field. Qiao Feng, a villain, you killed your father and mother, your crime is heinous, take your life. Qiao Feng. Take my triple palm. At this moment, the battlefield was already in a state of darkness, with flying sand and stones, and figures shuttling back and forth. Amidst the sound of blades breaking through the air and the roaring sound of energy, Qiao Feng was like a god of war who was proud of the world. He frequently attacked with his dragon capturing technique, Taizu Long Fist, and Dragon Claw technique, calmly repelling every close enemy. Standing in the distance, Zhao Yi seemed to have watched a slow-motion movie, and the movements of both the eminent monks Qiao Feng and Shaolin Temple Xuanji Xiannan were clearly visible to him. Shaolin finger-picking flowers. 1 clap, 2 scattered palms. In my sleeve, the universe is vast. Shaolin Arhat boxing. Taizu Long Fist charges into the formation and slays the general. He Shua stands tall. Taizu Long Fist, traversing thousands of miles. Shaolin Tianzhu Buddha finger. Zhao Yi is like an ancient ferocious beast gluttony that cannot eat enough. He is tireless, with his pupils shining brightly, and he passionately remembers all the martial arts and moves used by everyone in the arena. Next to her, Kang Min, who was accustomed to casually scratching her head, looked at Zhao Yi with a clever eye and saw that she had completely forgotten her existence. She neither spoke to her nor glanced at her, and her face turned icy cold. She gritted her teeth and secretly harbored hatred towards Zhao Yi in her heart. This woman enjoys conquering men and playing with men's psychology between her thighs, which can be said to be twisted. If Zhao Yi knew her thoughts at this moment, she would probably be speechless. 18 Dragon Subduing Palms. Qiao Feng has not yet used the 18 Dragon Subduing Palms. Zhao Yi, whose eyes were fixed on the field, muttered to himself. Chapter 8. Emerging from the Spotlight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone, you can't keep me. Please don't trouble Qiao again in the future. Qiao will find out the truth and give you an explanation. Still trying to argue. Shameless thief, where are we going? Be careful, it's the 18 dragon subduing palms. Roar. Suddenly, a clear and melodious sound of a dragon echoed through the sky and earth. Qiao Feng had already planned to leave, but he didn't want Xuanji, Zhao Qiansun, Yu Ji, and others to relentlessly pursue him. In a fit of anger, he turned around and pushed out the inner power of his right palm, using the proud dragon with regret technique from the 18 dragon subduing palms. Suddenly, sand and rocks flew on the ground, and fallen leaves flew in unison, converging into a vast giant dragon that drew in the nearest dozen or so chasing figures. At a critical moment, Qiao Feng flicked his sleeve and withdrew his 3-point force, causing more than 10 figures to fall to the ground, swayed by his palm power. Wow! Except for a few figures with weak martial arts and some internal injuries, people like Xuanji Zhao Qiansun were not seriously affected. Suddenly, as the head of Jushin Manor, Yu Ji's face changed, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and then fell flat on his back, as if he had lost his breath. Big brother. Master Yu. Qiao Feng, if you kill my big brother, I want you to pay for it. Let's go up together and kill Qiao Feng, this evil thief. This sudden change not only surprised everyone in Jushin village, but also greatly surprised Qiao Feng. Qiao Feng was well aware that he had not made a decisive move and withdrew 3 points of his strength midway. As Qiao Feng looked at the angry and murderous crowd rushing towards him, he shouted loudly, "I didn't kill him." At this moment, no one would believe it, let alone have time to carefully examine the cause of Yu Ji's death. Seeing these people being unreasonable and wronging themselves several times, Qiao Feng's blood in his body surged like boiling magma, and his eyes gradually turned red. At this moment, Qiao Feng saw Zhao Junho standing in the distance and remembered the words Zhao Junho said last night. In the end, Qiao Feng suppressed his anger and turned around to use his unique lightness skill to sweep towards the horizon. Qiao Feng, where are you escaping? Hurry up. Don't let this villain run away. Several top-notch experts led by Xuanji Xiannan also used their lightness skills and quickly chased towards Qiao Feng. The others saw that they couldn't catch up, so they had to watch helplessly in place and then came to the front of Yu Ji's body one after another. Alas, let's first carry the body of Lord Yu back. Qiao Feng, this villain, is really despicable. He keeps saying that he was framed by someone and is still a hidden assassin. Wake up. How can Liaogo have a good generation? In the distance, Zhao Junho withdrew his gaze from the horizon, with a hint of amazement in his eyes. There is only one explanation, Yu Ji was secretly poisoned by someone. Just now, the sky was filled with flying sand, rocks, and fallen leaves, making it the best time to launch a surprise attack. The person who launched the surprise attack is likely Xiao Yuanshan. Zhao Junho still couldn't afford to provoke Xiao Yuanshan. He calmly prepared to return to Jushin village, and when he turned around, he happened to see Kang Min, who looked particularly cold and glamorous in plain clothes. This woman doesn't know what's going on, she stares at him coldly, as if she has a deep grudge against him. Zhao Junho frowned slightly. When did he offend her? Ignoring the poisonous woman Kang Min, Zhao Junho quickened his pace and rushed towards Hongzhou city. Jushin village. Upon learning that the owner of their own estate had been killed, the village was filled with cries. After examining the body of Yu Ji, Shui Muhua confirmed that Yu Ji was killed by several stones hitting his vital point. But this does not wash away the suspicion of Qiao Feng's murder. Because no one could see clearly at that time, many people were injured by Qiao Feng's 18 dragon subduing palms because they were hit by flying stones in the sky. Zhao Junho is not interested in these things. Currently, he cannot stop Xiao Yuanshan and does not want to meet him. However, he had already come up with a plan that could help Qiao Feng get rid of his bad reputation. This strategy requires the help of Azhu, so it is important whether Azhu can be cured by Shui Muhua. Thus, Zhao Junho stayed in Hongzhou city for several days in a row. During the day, I went to Jiuxian Manor to see Azhu's situation, and at night, I stayed at an inn to cultivate my internal strength all night. A few days passed without realizing it, and Xue Muhua sent someone to inform Zhao Junho that Azhu's injury had been cured. Upon hearing the news, Zhao Junho immediately went to Jiuxian village. In a courtyard of Jiuxian village, Xue Muhua looked at Zhao Junho calmly and said, "You are also her life-saving benefactor. You can go in and talk to her now, but it shouldn't be too long. She still needs to rest." Xue Muhua frowned and added, "You'd better ask again, who exactly is the person in black that she said hurt her, and if there are any clear facial features." Upon hearing these words, Zhao Junho immediately understood that the people in Jiuxian village had already asked Azhu, and Azhu had already explained it to Xue Muhua and others according to the words he had instructed beforehand. "Okay," Zhao Junho nodded and walked into the room. Arriving at the bed, Azhu, who heard the commotion, slowly stood up. The ugly scar on his face was still visible, but his eyes were already full of energy. "Brother Zhao." Zhao Junho stood in front of the bed, turned his head to look out the window, and asked, "How are you? Has your injury healed?" Azhu nodded. Zhao Junho thought for a moment and, following Xue Muhua's instructions, asked Azhu again about his injury. Azhu pretended to recall and spoke word for word. "At that time, I was right then. And in the end, I fell into a coma and I don't know who hurt me." Outside the window, Xue Muhua held a feather fan in his hand and carried it behind him, his eyebrows furrowing and sometimes letting go as he listened. In the end, he let out a cold snort, seeming somewhat displeased, because what Azhu said to Zhao Junho was no different from what he said to him. But what kind of person is Xue Muhua? His intuition is that there must be a ghost among them. How could a mysterious person who has cultivated the great diamond palm to such a deep level, without reason, attack a little girl? Is it just to frame Abbot Xuanxi of Shaolin Temple? Although Xue Muhua was skeptical in his heart, Zhu was unwilling to reveal the truth and had no choice. "Jiya." The door opened and Zhao Junho helped out Azhu, whose face was somewhat pale. "Dr. Xue, thank you very much for treating this girl. Since her injury has healed, I will take her away now." Xue Muhua, holding a feather fan in his hand, stopped the two of them and said, "She can't leave now. We must make it clear that she was injured by the great diamond palm." Zhao Junho frowned and said, "Didn't you already make it clear?" "I said, I don't believe it." Zhao Junho looked at Xue Muhua and said, "That's amazing." She said, "If you don't believe it, what do you really want?" Xue Muhua snorted coldly upon hearing this, neither responding nor letting the two leave. "Dr. Xue, what's wrong?" At this moment, a group of figures heard the commotion and rushed over. After understanding the situation, everyone cast skeptical eyes on Azhu's face. People like Xian Nan, Xian Ji, Zhao Qiansun, and others frowned tightly. As the widow of Ma De Yuan, the deputy leader of the beggars' sect, Kang Min is also present, still dressed in plain clothes and dressed as a virtuous woman with one hand. Seeing Zhao Junho protecting an ugly little girl like this, he turned a blind eye to himself that day. Kang Min's face was as cold as frost, and he secretly thought that Zhao Junho, a big man, was really blind and should have taken a liking to such a thing. "Little girl, you should be honest. Who exactly hurt you? Why did they use the great diamond palm to hurt you for no reason? Yeah, there are so many people here. As long as you reveal the true culprit who hurt you, we will definitely seek justice for you. Not bad, even if it's really done by Abbot Xuanxi, we will definitely let him give you an explanation." In the crowd, Xuanji was furious and said, "Why did it happen to my abbot and senior brother again? My abbot and senior brother are highly respected, how could he be such a person?" Upon hearing this, Azhu's eyes lit up with tears and he said, I don't know. That person is wearing a mask, and I can't recognize his face. I don't know who he is, nor why he wants to hurt me. But later, after I was unconscious for a long time, I felt like I was being lifted up and my back was warm. This. Xuanji and others looked at each other upon hearing the words. It's unreasonable to take action to save someone after injuring them. It's not necessarily true. Perhaps someone with a chivalrous heart noticed that the girl was seriously injured and protected her heart with deep internal strength. Listening to everyone's chatter, Zhao Juanho's face remained calm. When he taught Azhu, his idea was to make things seem vague and incomprehensible. It cannot be certain that it was done by Abbot Xuanci, nor can it completely dispel suspicion. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please listen to me? Looking at the noisy crowd, Zhao Junho spoke up. The surroundings suddenly quieted down. Zhao Junho said, to be honest, I also believe that this matter was not done by Abbot Xuanci. I am wondering if there is another possibility. What's possible? Zhao Junho looked around at the crowd and said, perhaps there is not only Abbot Xuanci who has such powerful diamond palm in this world. Xuanji and Xiannan were shocked upon hearing this. Xuanji angrily said, it's impossible. Those who know the great diamond palm and have such palm power are the only ones in the world, my senior brother. You may not know that my 70.2 unique skills in Shaolin are never passed down externally, and the great diamond palm is taught in great secrecy, making cultivation extremely difficult. Zhao Junho was speechless, so he had no idea what to do with finding the great monk at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. But he had a strategy in place long ago. He said slowly, have you ever heard of the recent visit of the Tibetan national teacher to the Tianlong temple in Dali with several Shaolin secret techniques? I've heard of it a bit. I heard that the Tibetan national teacher was determined to obtain the view of the Dali Duan family's 6 meridian divine sword, but in the end, Master Kurong burned the divine sword manual, causing him to return dejected. Yeah, the 6 meridian divine sword is a rare and unparalleled sword technique in the world, but unfortunately. Amidst the sound of discussion, many people gradually came to understand. Zhao Junho mentioned the Tibetan national teacher and also mentioned that when the Tibetan national teacher visited the high-ranking monks of Tianlong temple, he carried several Shaolin martial arts skills. It is not surprising that the martial arts talent praised by the Tibetan national teacher has mastered several unique skills of Shaolin temple, even the great diamond palm. Not bad, my location in Jiao is very close to Dali. I once heard that the Tibetan monk was very powerful. He not only brought a few Shaolin martial arts manuscripts, but also used the Wuxiang Jie finger, Nianhua finger, and Duoyuai finger to fight against the monks of Tianlong temple. A martial arts hero from Jiao said. Upon hearing his words, everyone was even more certain that this Tibetan national teacher might be the great diamond palm of Shaolin temple. Since there are 2 masters of the great diamond palm, it may not be possible to have a third or fourth one. Amitabha Buddha. Originally, it was rumored that someone had stolen and learned a unique skill from their own temple, which was not honorable. However, both Xiannan and Xuanji knew it well. Over the years, there were countless thieves who wanted to sneak into Shaolin temple and steal martial arts secrets. After all, Shaolin temple is a holy land of the Central Plains martial arts, with authentic martial arts. All martial arts in the world originate from Shaolin. Miss Ruan, have you heard the person who hurt you say something? Is he not from the Central Plains? Someone asked. Chapter 9. Just striving for a clear heart. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As someone asked him what to say, Azhu furrowed his brows as if he couldn't remember. I don't know, I can't remember clearly. Never mind, there's no need to force a little girl to ask. She finally regained her life from the Yen prince. It's already good to be alive. Finally, with the addition of the Tibetan national teacher Jiao Maji as a suspect, the suspicion of Abbot Xuanci of Shaolin temple was greatly eliminated. In addition, as Zhu was still a young girl, everyone did not intend to make things difficult and allowed Zhao Junho to leave with the disfigured Jew. In the crowd, Kang Min looked coldly at the back of Zhao Junho. However, Kang Min did not expect a silent and unnamed beggar sect disciple with 6 bags to have the courage to face the crowd alone without panic. Previously, there was a clever argument that forced Dr. Xue to treat the little girl surnamed Ruan. Although this person has low martial arts skills, his intelligence is truly rare. But as soon as Kang Min thought of Zhao Junho turning a blind eye to her like the former Qiao Feng, he wished one day that Zhao Junho would kneel in front of her and beg for mercy from her. A group of useless and incompetent people, so many people can't even catch a single Qiao Feng. Looking at the crowd still discussing, Kang Min's face was as cold as frost, and she twisted her waist and left lightly. Hongzhou City, inside an inn. Zhao Junho brought Azhu into the house and closed the door. "How is brother Qiao doing?" Azhu, who was somewhat worried, quickly asked. Zhao Junho said, "He's okay." Azhu breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That's good." Zhao Junho looked at Azhu and thought about how to speak. "Brother Zhao, please have something to say." Azhu saw Zhao Junho's thoughts. Zhao Junho thought for a moment and said, "Miss Ruan, isn't this scar on your face real?" Upon hearing this, Azhu touched the scar on his face and thought it was because he hadn't fixed it properly and had exposed the truth. Zhao Junho shook his head and said, "There's no problem with the scar. I heard your voice, Miss Zhu." When Zhao Junho and Wang Yuyan met Murong Fu and his group that day, they had heard Azhu's voice, so they heard it again and felt familiar. Of course, even without this reason, Zhao Junho had long guessed that Miss Ruan was likely Azhu. Upon hearing the 4 words Miss Azhu, Azhu was shocked and stunned for a moment. Then, his face changed to a calm expression and he sat down beside Marquis Zhao. "Sorry, brother Zhao, I didn't mean to keep it from you." "It's okay." Zhao Junho chuckled lightly and casually said, "Are you using facial contouring techniques?" Azhu nodded and sighed again, "So brother Zhao also knows about facial contouring." Zhao Junho nodded and pondered, "I have heard of the art of changing faces before. Leaving aside this, since you have recovered now, I have an important matter to discuss with you." "Brother Zhao, please speak up." Zhao Junho frowned and said, "That day I took you to Jiuxian village, and then followed everyone to the outskirts. However, I just stood in the distance to watch the battle, and there was one thing that made me suspect that someone might be trying to frame the leader of the Qiao gang." Upon hearing this, Azhu was shocked and listened attentively. Zhao Junho continued, "I used to think that with the character of leader Qiao, there would be no plan to kill Ma De Yuan, his adoptive parents, and his mentor. There must be a conspiracy involved. I didn't expect that on that day, a group of martial arts experts from Jiuxian village besieged the leader of the Qiao gang, which really gave me a glimpse. At the beginning of the confrontation, it was obvious that the leader of the Qiao gang was hindered by the old relationship. Of course, the leader of the Qiao gang did not intend to kill anyone, so neither side was injured or killed. But later on, with the intention of retreating from the enemy, the leader of the Qiao gang resorted to a move called Konglong Yugui. Everyone was unharmed, except for the sudden death of the leader of the Jiuxian manor. At that time, I saw that the reaction of the Qiao gang leader was obviously unexpected. Remembering the scene where the proud dragon with regret rolled up a sky full of sand and stones, many people's vision was blurry, making it the most suitable for a surprise attack. Therefore, I guess someone must have secretly poisoned the lord of Jiuxian manor. "Why did that person do this?" said Azhu with confusion upon hearing the words. As soon as he spoke, Azhu suddenly thought of something, with a sudden realization on his face. "I know now. Once Master Yu dies, the martial arts heroes gathered by Jiuxian manor will surely be furious. Such actions will be even more ruthless, and brother Qiao will have no way to hold back. Once both sides fight to the death, the grudge will not be resolved." Zhao Junho smiled and said, "Not bad, she's really a smart girl." Azhu's face turned slightly red and he said, "Brother Jiao, you're making fun of me again." Putting aside his smile, Zhao Junho said solemnly, "Although we already know that someone is trying to frame the leader of the Qiao gang, it is not easy to find this person behind the scenes. Moreover, this person has successively killed Ma De Yuan, the Qiao family, and the highly skilled master Xuanku, and framed Qiao gang leader for not revealing his true identity. He must have outstanding martial arts skills, and his invincible Zhao Junho did not leave any flaws here, even though he knew that Ma De Yuan's death had nothing to do with the deaths of the Qiao family and master Xuanku. But if he said it separately, it would definitely make the clever Azhu suspicious. What should we do then?" Azhu worried. Seeing Azhu's gaze distracted, it was obvious that he was secretly worried about Xiao Feng, his beloved. Zhao Junho did not speak in a hurry. After waiting for a moment, Zhao Junho said to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, "I had thought of other ways before, but seeing that you know how to change your appearance, I came up with a more direct and simple solution." "What's the solution?" Azhu looked at him with a pair of dark eyes, a hint of urgency hidden. Zhao Junho also didn't show off, because he had told Azhu that he was leaving and he had other things to do. He had already done enough for Qiao Feng and Azhu, who had lovers. "You come over." Immediately, Marquis Zhao called for Azhu to approach, and then whispered the method to Azhu. After listening, Zhu's eyebrows lit up with joy, and his admiration for Zhao Junho increased a bit. Everyone says that the Beggars sect has a talented scholar with exceptional intelligence and strategy. If I had to look at him, Brother Zhao is much stronger than the helmsman surnamed Quan. Zhao Junho smiled but did not answer. "Alright, I've done everything I can to help with Master Qiao's matter. I'm leaving now. I wish you all a speedy investigation into the truth." After speaking, Zhao Junho stood up and prepared to leave. As for whether Azhu really has the Shaolin Temple's Book of Changes and his disguise technique, it is now optional for Zhao Junho. Moreover, Zhao Junho did not want to take advantage of his kindness to repay him. "Brother Zhao." When Zhao Junho walked to the door, a lively shout came from him. Zhao Junho turned around and saw Azhu Tingting standing, his black and white eyes shining with tears. "Thank you very much." Zhao Junho smiled slightly and said, "Good girl, take care of yourself. The days ahead are long, and we will always see each other again." After speaking, Zhao Junho left gracefully. After leaving the inn-gate and entering the street, Zhao Junho closed his eyes to prevent anyone from seeing the touch in his eyes as he watched the people coming and going. After a moment, he opened again and his figure drowned out the vast sea of people. Chapter 9. Siblings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing someone ask him something, Azhu furrowed his brows slightly, as if it was hard to remember. I don't know, I can't remember clearly." "Never mind, there's no need to force a little girl to ask. She finally regained her life from the Yen prince. It's already good to be alive." Finally, with the addition of the Tibetan national teacher Jiao Maji as a suspect, the suspicion of Abbot Xuanxi of Shaolin Temple was greatly eliminated. In addition, as Zhu was still a young girl, everyone did not intend to make things difficult and allowed Zhao Junho to leave with the disfigured Zhu. In the crowd, Kang Min looked coldly at the back of Zhao Junho. However, Kang Min did not expect a silent and unnamed beggar sect disciple with 6 bags to have the courage to face the crowd alone without panic. Previously, there was a clever argument that forced Dr. Xue to treat the little girl surnamed Ruoyi. Although this person has low martial arts skills, his intelligence is truly rare. But as soon as Kang Min thought of Zhao Junho turning a blind eye to her like the former Qiao Feng, he wished one day that Zhao Junho would kneel in front of her and beg for mercy from her. A group of useless and incompetent people, so many people can't even catch a single Qiao Feng. Looking at the crowd still discussing, Kang Min's face was as cold as frost, and she twisted her waist and left lightly. Hongzhou City, inside an inn. Zhao Junho brought Azhu into the house and closed the door. "How is brother Qiao doing?" Azhu, who was somewhat worried, quickly asked. Zhao Junho said, "He's okay." Azhu breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That's good." Zhao Junho looked at Azhu and thought about how to speak. "Brother Zhao, please have something to say." Azhu saw Zhao Junho's thoughts. Zhao Junho thought for a moment and said, "Miss Ruoyi, isn't this scar on your face real?" Upon hearing this, Azhu touched the scar on his face and thought it was because he hadn't fixed it properly and had exposed the truth. Zhao Junho shook his head and said, "There's no problem with the scar. I heard your voice, Miss Zhu." When Zhao Junho and Wang Yuyan met Murong Fu and his group that day, they had heard Azhu's voice, so they heard it again and felt familiar. Of course, even without this reason, Zhao Junho had long guessed that Miss Ruoyi was likely Azhu. Upon hearing the 4 words Miss Azhu, Azhu was shocked and stunned for a moment. Then, his face changed to a calm expression and he sat down beside Marquis Zhao. "Sorry, brother Zhao, I didn't mean to keep it from you." "It's okay." Zhao Junho chuckled lightly and casually said, "Are you using facial contouring techniques?" Azhu nodded and sighed again, "So brother Zhao also knows about facial contouring." Zhao Junho nodded and pondered, "I have heard of the art of changing faces before. Leaving aside this, since you have recovered now, I have an important matter to discuss with you." "Brother Zhao, please speak up." Zhao Junho frowned and said, "That day I took you to Jiuxian village, and then followed everyone to the outskirts. However, I just stood in the distance to watch the battle, and there was one thing that made me suspect that someone might be trying to frame the leader of the Qiao gang." Upon hearing this, Azhu was shocked and listened attentively. Zhao Junho continued, "I used to think that with the character of leader Qiao, there would be no plan to kill Ma Deyuan, his adoptive parents, and his mentor. There must be a conspiracy involved. I didn't expect that on that day, a group of martial arts experts from Jiuxian village besieged the leader of the Qiao gang, which really gave me a glimpse. At the beginning of the confrontation, it was obvious that the leader of the Qiao gang was hindered by the old relationship. Of course, the leader of the Qiao gang did not intend to kill anyone, so neither side was injured or killed. But later on, with the intention of retreating from the enemy, the leader of the Qiao gang resorted to a move called Konglong Yugui. Everyone was unharmed, except for the sudden death of the leader of the Jiuxian manor. At that time, I saw that the reaction of the Qiao gang leader was obviously unexpected. Remembering the scene where the proud dragon with regret rolled up a sky full of sand and stones, many people's vision was blurry, making it the most suitable for a surprise attack. Therefore, I guess someone must have secretly poisoned the lord of Jiuxian manor. "Why did that person do this?" said Azhu with confusion upon hearing the words. As soon as he spoke, Azhu suddenly thought of something, with a sudden realization on his face. "I know now. Once Master Yu dies, the martial arts heroes gathered by Jiuxian manor will surely be furious. Such actions will be even more ruthless, and brother Qiao will have no way to hold back. Once both sides fight to the death, the grudge will not be resolved." Zhao Junho smiled and said, "Not bad, she's really a smart girl." Azhu's face turned slightly red and he said, "Brother Zhao, you're making fun of me again." Putting aside his smile, Zhao Junho said solemnly, "Although we already know that someone is trying to frame the leader of the Qiao gang, it is not easy to find this person behind the scenes. Moreover, this person has successively killed Ma Deyuan, the Qiao family, and the highly skilled Master Xuanku, and framed Qiao gang leader for not revealing his true identity. He must have outstanding martial arts skills and is invincible." Zhao Junho did not leave any flaws here, even though he knew that Ma Deyuan's death had nothing to do with the deaths of the Qiao family and Master Xuanku. But if he said it separately, it would definitely make the clever Azhu suspicious. "What should we do then?" Azhu worried. Seeing Azhu's gaze distracted, it was obvious that he was secretly worried about Xiao Feng, his beloved. Zhao Junho did not speak in a hurry. After waiting for a moment, Zhao Junho said to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, I had thought of other ways before, but seeing that you know how to change your appearance, I came up with a more direct and simple solution. What's the solution? Azhu looked at him with a pair of dark eyes, a hint of urgency hidden. Zhao Junho also didn't show off, because he had told Azhu that he was leaving and he had other things to do. He had already done enough for Qiao Feng and Azhu, who had lovers. You come over. Immediately, Marquis Zhao called for Azhu to approach, and then whispered the method to Azhu. After listening, Zhu's eyebrows lit up with joy, and his admiration for Zhao Junho increased a bit. Everyone says that the Beggars sect has a talented scholar with exceptional intelligence and strategy. If I had to look at him, Brother Zhao is much stronger than the helmsman surnamed Quan. Zhao Junho smiled but did not answer. Alright, I've done everything I can to help with Master Qiao's matter. I'm leaving now. I wish you all a speedy investigation into the truth. After speaking, Zhao Junho stood up and prepared to leave. As for whether Azhu really has the Shaolin Temple's Book of Changes and his disguise technique, it is now optional for Zhao Junho. Moreover, Zhao Junho did not want to take advantage of his kindness to repay him. Brother Zhao. When Zhao Junho walked to the door, a lively shout came from him. Zhao Junho turned around and saw Azhu Tingting standing, his black and white eyes shining with tears. Thank you very much. Zhao Junho smiled slightly and said, Good girl, take care of yourself. The days ahead are long, and we will always see each other again. After speaking, Zhao Junho left gracefully. After leaving the inn-gate and entering the street, Zhao Junho closed his eyes to prevent anyone from seeing the touch in his eyes as he watched the people coming and going. After a moment, he opened again and his figure drowned out the vast sea of people.